Hi y'all, good morning. Are you ready to catch some fish today? I hope so, because we got to catch them quick today. I've been on the water about 3 minutes and I've already seen 2 daggone mini bass fishermen. So we're going to catch some fish next few hours here, have us some fun, and we're going to get the heck off the water and let them have it for the weekend, by gosh. But I'm over here today on Melton Hill Reservoir. We're going after a variety of species today, man. Anything that wants to play, I want to catch them. So I got my ultralight rod, some Gulp minnows, some jig heads, and we're going to start right here basically at the dam. This is Melton Hill Dam. We would have went on up in here behind this lock wall area, but I heard some guys talking back up in there, the workers, and you know how I am about talking on camera around people and stuff. So I was like, you know what, we'll start right here and just work our way down the shoreline here and just throw at everything we see today. Down trees, rocks that have broken off and fallen down, et cetera, man. Anything that could possibly hold a fish, we're gonna throw at it. So I'm gonna put the camera in the chest. I'm gonna bring y'all with me. This right here, if you're new to my channel or new to my ultralight videos, this right here is my favorite bait in the world. That is a 1-inch Gulp minnow in the smelt color, which looks like just a small threadfin shad. I've got that on a 1/64 ounce jig head with a number 8 size hook, 2-pound test line, and this is my trusty ultralight rod. This is a St. Croix Panfish Series rod, 6 foot long, and I've got a 1,000 size Daiwa reel on it. So we're just gonna make some casts here and get it going, man. I'm hoping to get a variety of species, but you know, look right here, buddy. We got one. We had a bite right there on the first cast. I've heard in the past, I've done got my line wrapped around my rod tip too. I've heard it can be bad luck to catch a fish on the first cast. So I guess it's good he come off. We don't want no bad luck out here first thing. We don't want to be like this bass fisherman up here in front of us. I reckon he's gonna actually stop and fish up there now. I hope he goes the other way, not toward us. This guy, I launched over here at the ramp. And when I launched, he was like in this area going that way. And I thought, well, perfect, because I was wanting to start here at the dam anyway. And it takes me a minute to get over here because I'm in my pedal kayak. You know, I can't just zoom along at 50 miles an hour like these guys with the outboards. And so by the time I get over here, he's went down that shoreline there and he's turned and now he's coming back this way. And I thought, well, hell far. Which way is he actually going to fish or is he just going to ride around all day? And he's making his way along and I guess he's scanning because he's got a little, when he went by me, it looks like he's got about $20,000 worth of electronics on his boat. So I guess he's side scanning and down scanning and stuff. And he's making his way along, and all of a sudden I hear kaplunk. And this guy, you know, he can see, here's a fish. He can see under him, he can see beside him, but apparently he couldn't see what was laying on the water right in front of him because he ran into a damn log. So anyway, he's made his way back down there. I guess he's finally found some fish there on his screen. We found this bluegill without needing any kind of graph. We ain't got no electronics today, do we, bluegill? That bluegill don't know, he don't know nothing. I actually do have a graph on this kayak. It's in that front hatch. We won't be using it today. No need for it with what we're doing today. We do apparently need a umbrella or a rain suit. Here's another fish right here off this piece of brush. It has started to sprinkle. I was not aware that it was going to potentially rain or sprinkle today, so since y'all just got here, if you want to run back in your house and grab your slicker and your galoshes, I totally understand. At this point, I'm so far away from the car, I'm committed to just getting wet, so we're going to roll with it. Hopefully this little sprinkle here will be all that happens, but we're on some fish right here on this little, I guess it's cedar trees. Somebody's thrown on the shore there or something. Looks like they've been cut. I guess TVA or somebody cut them trees to keep from blocking their dangerous water sign, as if, you know, it's sad we're at that point in society where, oh, a little bass. Did you see that little bass hit it? As I was reeling it in, I was about to reel it in and make another cast, and he come up and snatched it. We're off to a hot start here, ain't we, Mr. Bass? Three fish here, quick, fast, in a hurry. There we go. Boy, the tiniest bass in the lake right there. But it's sad we're at that point in society where people need a warning dangerous water sign near a dam. You'd think that'd be common sense that you'd want to be a little extra careful around a dam, but the people that are so dumb to understand that, probably too dumb to read that sign. So I don't know if it's going to do them any good, but I guess from a legality standpoint, TVA can say they've warned them. If something goes wrong, here's a fish. Boy, we're on some fish right here, man. I'm happy about it too. I woke up today in the mood to catch some fish. And it's a good thing I did, because I don't have any catfish bait today. So I was going to have to do another type of fishing anyway. Oh, that one didn't want to be on camera apparently. And so I woke up today, I was either coming ultralight fishing or I was going carp fishing. And I woke up in the mood to do some ultralight fishing, so here we are. So I'm gonna come over here to Melton Hill Dam. I'll start right here at the dam and just work my way upstream. We had a bunch of rain come through. Not yesterday, but the night before. And the places that I was getting skipjack at just got blown out. And so I'd went out yesterday, tried to get some skipjack, but I was unsuccessful. They were moving so much water. I'm gonna have to locate a new batch of them, or give it a few days here to let the water subside a little bit. Oh, I had another one hit me. So I wasn't able to get any bait. And the carp bite has been on. They're thick in the shallows right now, getting ready to spawn and all, so I'd say I'm just gonna wake up today. Whatever the mood strikes me, I'm gonna do it. And this one here, this bluegill, he's in the mood to, I assume it's a bluegill, he's in the mood to spit this hook. That water's still fairly clear here, considering how much rain we got. If we have a bass come after one of these bluegill today, I'm hoping we're gonna see it on camera. And it just might happen. It's a little better quality right here. Can I have that hook back, bluegill, please and thank you? Nice. That's a good looking bluegill right there. We'll see you, buddy. I'm just gonna make a few more casts right here, man. Literally the first piece of cover we threw at. Tearing them up right here. I thought I'd go back here behind this lock wall, but there was a couple guys out there. I guess they work here at the dam. Y'all know how I am. I just don't like talking on camera around people. I'll talk to y'all on camera, but I don't want to talk to people. I don't want to talk to a camera with people around eavesdropping, because it's weird. Oh, I had another one hit me. I don't know what this bass fisherman in front of us doing. I don't even think he's fishing. I don't even know where he's at. He must be digging in one of his hatches. He's probably got 35 rods in there. Each one of them got a different lure tied on. He's probably got 5 crankbait rods and 5 different crankbaits in different colors. One of them will run 6 foot, and the next one will run 7 foot. We're just gonna sit here and use one bait today and catch a bunch of fish. I do have my skipjack rods with me though, just in case we luck into some and happen to see them. We'll make some casts, and I got my cooler with me. We'll put a few in there. I also brought my live bait bucket too, just in case. I'm probably not gonna keep no bluegill, but if we was to get something like maybe a yellow bass or a small drum, or get on some crappie, we might keep some of them for an upcoming catfish trip. Here's another one. I'm filming this video on a Friday, and had I got some bait yesterday, I would have went catfishing today. But tomorrow, Saturday there, and Sunday, I will let the bass fishermen and pleasure boaters have it. I will probably go out tomorrow and try to get some carp somewhere. I can hide from people when I'm carp fishing. There's another one. Boy, man, they are on it. There's a bunch of fish right here off these old cedar trees. But I'll go hide from some people tomorrow and try to catch some carp. I may get out on Sunday and try to find some more bait and get after the cats again on Monday. Man, when I'm catfishing, I'm usually in open water areas, and we've got so much boat traffic around here now on the weekends, from the bass tournaments going on and just the pleasure boaters, and throw in a bunch of recreational fishermen too. Man, you can't fish. You be out in the middle of the damn lake, you can't fart without somebody smelling it, and it's just so many damn people out there. So I'll let them have it on the weekends. I'll hide in the creek somewhere and do some carp fishing, and then I'll try to do my fishing there weekday mornings. That's the best time to go, in my opinion. I've been on a pretty good catfish bite down on Chickamauga Reservoir. I'd like to get back down there, especially now that we've had some rain come through. It really, the night before last, I mean, it rained. They had some bad storms roll through. A lot of places around us got hit real hard with bad storms. At my house, it stormed a little bit. It thundered and lightning, but it wasn't bad. There wasn't any damage in my area. But it rained like all night long, like a good soaking hard rain. And so I got a feeling with as much water as they were moving yesterday at the dam, at Fort Loudon Dam, I got a feeling as that water makes its way downstream, that bite I was on at Chickamauga, I got a feeling it's going to be really on. So I'd like to get me some bait and get back down there. There's one spot, I was getting them fish kind of in one area. I've been hitting, I'm gonna switch this Gulp out. We've got so many fish on this thing, they've about tore it up at this point. We'll put us a fresh one on. But I've been getting them fish down there on Chickamauga on an area where there's some feeder creeks that come in, and in front of every one of those creeks, I have been getting both good numbers of fish and some quality size fish. But just upriver from there, there's an old, like, submerged dam that goes all the way across the channel. And I had filmed a video there a few weeks ago, and I caught some fish on it. It wasn't a particularly great day. I got some numbers of fish, but I didn't really get anything to the quality level that I had been getting further on down at them creeks there. But I got a feeling with them cranking up the generation and cranking up the flow, that dam is going to make a really nice current break. And so I want to get down there and just basically drop anchor right on top of that old dam and just throw my baits off there behind it. And I got a feeling all them fish that have maybe been downstream a little bit, going in and out of them creeks, they may be right up there on that old dam, just maybe stacked up on there, using it as a current break, ambushing fish that come over the top of it there. So I kind of want to hit that spot. If they're still running some flow on Monday, I think they probably will be. As much water as they're moving up here, that water's got to make its way down, you know. I got a feeling we might get on some down there. But I'm gonna need to get us some bait, and I'm gonna need to fix this Gulp. This thing ain't running right. I apparently put it on there crooked, y'all. Don't judge me, it's early. There, that's a little better. The tail on that one's crooked. That's why it's running weird. Let's replace that. Somebody call Berkeley and tell them we got a bad deal on that Gulp right there. We need one that's a little bit straighter than that one. Looks a little better. Finally, it's nice to get on some bluegill again, man. My last ultralight trip, I was fishing below Watts Bar Dam, and I went down there because I needed some skipjack, right? And so I caught some of them, and I was going to spend some time ultralight fishing, and I did. But I couldn't catch a bluegill down there if my life depended on it, man. There just was no bluegill to be had that day. I did get a really nice smallmouth bass, and I got a really nice largemouth bass. So I caught some really, a couple nice fish, especially with the ultralight. It was great. But I thought I was going to catch 100 fish that day, probably with some bluegill and just a variety of species, and it didn't happen that day. My regular viewers, y'all was with me, man. We covered a good stretch of water there along that riprap by the dam, and it just was nothing to be had. I did have half a mind to go, well, of course it's blown out now with the water they're moving through, but I had half a mind to go back with some bigger Gulp. When I'm just targeting bass, I like to use a bigger Gulp. This 1-inch catches everything. But when I use a 3-inch, I eliminate a lot of the smaller bites, which clearly we wasn't getting that day. But it's a little bit heavier, it gets down a little bit deeper, quicker. It's easier to fish at the deeper depths because of its weight, and I catch more bass with the 3-inch size. And so since we know there's some good sized bass in that area right now, and that smallmouth I caught, I'd got it up to the surface and had another fish swimming around there with it. So it had a friend with him. And so I had half a mind to go back down there at some point soon and throw the 3-inch around, but the bite will have changed now with the amount of water they're running through there. So they may still be there, but they may move, it's just, things will be a little different now. But we're gonna make the most of it out here. This is, with all the driving I've been doing lately, going down to Chickamauga, and then of course I had that tournament on the Ohio River, which I wish I hadn't have gone to, but I did cash in it, so all's well in the end. But I've been doing a lot of driving lately, and so it's kind of nice to be able to come out here today and fish an area a few minutes from home. And we'll put in a few hours this morning and then let these bass fishermen have it. I've done seen too many of them just launching my kayak and coming over just right across it. I literally just went right across the channel from where I launched at. So we're right here in the heart of where these guys are going to be launching boats. Typically, when a bass fisherman puts in somewhere, when he launches, they typically run 70 miles an hour the opposite direction. You rarely see one just drop a trolling motor down and fish right there by the launch. They got 200 horsepower and they want to use all 200 of them, you know what I mean? So usually if you try to fish somewhere close to where you launch at, you're usually not going to be pestered by too many people, but looks like that fella up here is coming our way. So we'll have to go around him at some point. It just amazes me, these guys. I mean, I laughed. It was literally LOL, laugh out loud, when he hit that tree. or log or whatever the hell it was floating. Because, I mean, he's got 2 giant screens. I saw him as he went by. He can see under the boat. He can see every direction beside the boat, but he couldn't see that giant log that was literally on the surface right in front of him. Because he's so damn fixated on them screens. Them guys kill me. One of them might actually kill me someday as they zoom along, not paying attention because they're watching screens. But every time I see one of them nail something, it gives me the giggles inside. I enjoy it more than I should. You shouldn't wish bad things on people. But sometimes you just can't help yourself. But yeah, folks, you come with me today. We'll catch us some fish out here. We might tell a story or two. It was a little, I won't say it's chilly out here, but it was cold enough this morning that I didn't want to wear flip-flops. We're finally getting to the point now, it's about flip-flop season. We're far enough into spring, we're getting some warmer mornings. Our water temperatures are heating up now. It's about flip-flop season, and I thought about it today, but it was a little bit chillier than I wanted to wear my flip-flops. I do have a pretty good story. I'm embarrassed to tell this story. Y'all are going to roast me over this, and deservedly so. But it would have been a better story if I'd had flip-flops on today. But last night, I shouldn't tell this story because I'm going to just get obliterated in the comment box. Like, I mean, y'all know me, like me and my friends, we give each other a hard time. If one of us gets something on the other one, we don't let them hear the end of it. Like we will ride them to the end of time as we got another fish here finally. We're just gonna work our way back here in this pocket. I'm not gonna go too far back in because there's a lot of wood sticking up back here. We'll be snagged, but this here's a little better bluegill. Bluegill, should I tell this story and give everybody ammunition to talk about me? This bluegill hates my guts right now. I've put a hook right in his jaw. I brought my measuring board today, bluegill. You want to get your length took? I bet you not 8 inches. I bet you probably, my measuring board's cracked here too, y'all. Things seen better days. Yeah, short of 8 inches there. He's probably 7.5-ish probably. Dang good time on this ultralight though, man. Fish like that'll put a bend in my ultralight rod. I could go out here and do this every day of the week and just have a dang good time. But anyway, so last night, y'all, circling back to my feet. It's probably, you know what? It's probably a good thing I am wearing boots today, because when I tell you what I've done, the perverts would be just licking their chops. Now, I do get some pervert comments anytime I wear flip-flops on this channel and my feet get in the frame. Like, there's some perverts out there. There's some real weirdos that like my feet. And I ain't judging nobody, okay? Like, if you're into feet, you know, I personally don't understand it. So we got another good bluegill here, man. He's a digging, buddy. Boy, it's a good one right here. We may measure another one here, folks. This one here may hit the 8-inch mark. He's fat too, man. We're getting on some better quality bluegill right here as we make our way back. You want to get your measurement too, bluegill? I think I want to measure you. Look how thick he is, man. Look at the thickness on him. Let's stick you on here. Oh, hey. Boy, bluegill, it's a good thing I ain't got flip-flops on. You'd have spiked me. Comment down. Mr. Bluegill, please, give me 1 minute of your time, sir. I ain't trying to sell you nothing. I ain't no encyclopedia salesman. Now he's peeing all over me. It's spawning time. Let me, please, Mr. Bluegill. I just want to measure you. Please and thank you, sir. Got us an 8-incher right there, man. He's close to 8 1/4, actually. Real close, just shy of it. Nice, y'all. That's a good bluegill right there. Go on, you want out of here that bad. Now we're messing with him when we got up here on the place we was catching them. Why didn't he tap me on the shoulder, holler at me? Told me back off this there. I wasn't paying attention. Fortunately, when you're in a kayak though, and you blow up on an area like this, as long as you ain't making a bunch of noise or banging into stuff, you oftentimes won't spook them, because there's quite a bit of debris in the water this morning, and this kayak, it looks just like a log floating on the water. So hopefully we didn't spook them fish. Anyway, I'm gonna tell you this story reluctantly, because I should have told it at the end. That way I'd only tell my regular viewers and not any part-timers that just watch a few minutes, or any of my friends that may be just giving me a courtesy view and watching for a few minutes of the video, because they will really ride me about this. But last night, y'all, I got my toes done. That's right, I got my toes done. I had and here's where it gets funnier, is this ain't the first time. The last time it was time to cut my toenails, I got my toes done. So the perverts, when I wear flip-flops on video again, the perverts are gonna be, of course, I don't know, there's some real sickos that seem to enjoy my corns on my feet. Again, everybody likes their own thing, okay? I ain't judging nobody out there. You know, everybody's trigger gets tripped in different ways. So if you like feet, more power to you. It ain't my thing, but whatever. But what I don't understand about the people who like feet in that way is I don't understand why they enjoy my feet. Like, why am I getting the pervert comments? Because my feet are, I mean, my toes are deformed and stuff, like they're crooked and they got corns, and like, it's just, my feet, if I was somebody who thought feet were attractive, I would not think my feet were attractive. But boy, some of yous do, and it's weird. But now I've had my toes done for the second time, and I fully admit it's very weird. So we got another nice bluegill here who is just pulling. Bless this bluegill if he's ever had his toes done. He says, Justin, we don't have toes. They probably get their fins done, maybe. Boy, look at this, y'all. Look at this. Boy, this is another good one right here, man. Bluegill, I'm glad I'm ahead on videos a while, or people would be coming over here after this thing come out and be cleaning all these fish out. They'd go home to the dinner table. They'll be gone by the time this video comes out, won't you, bluegill? You'll be done spawning by then. Another 8-incher, man. That's another one. That is a good fish on public water around here, folks. You get an 8-incher here on public water in this area, you've done something. Yeah, let me tell you how it started. Let me tell you how all this came about. Okay, this ain't all me. Like, this wasn't my decision to go get my toes done. All right, so my parents are at that age where, you know, mobility and stuff, it's getting harder. I done got hung over here, y'all. Let's see if we can get this thing back. I may be able to finally finish the story while I retie a jig if we break off on this thing. But anyway, my parents are at that age where, you know, mobility is not as easy as it used to be. And, you know, harder to bend over to cut their toenails and stuff. So they go and get pedicures so that they can get their toenails cut, right? And Come out of that, come on. You know, hey, I know what we can do here. Let's pause the story for one more second. We're gonna use our new gadget. This is a prime time for us to lose this thing too. This is one of these plug knocker things from Trout Magnet. I done forgot what they're called. I bought some a while back, and they slide on your line. Oops. Slide on your line, and then you twist that thing around, and it slides up and down. And hopefully he's gonna knock that jig loose or lose the plug knocker too. There it comes. Now how about that? It can work just like this thing's earning its keep around here. You can get these things. There's a lot of homemade ones at like little tackle shops and whatnot, but they're always so heavy because they're made for like getting bass lures unhung. Them ones that Trout Magnet are making are a little bit lighter weight. They're plenty heavy enough to knock a small jig like we're using today. They're plenty good enough for that, but they're not so heavy that you're gonna break your line trying to use them like some of them bass lure ones. So anyway, y'all, let's try to get this damn story out. I keep teasing you with it. So my parents go to this little Asian spa place, and they get their toes done every few weeks, right? Because it's easier on them to get their toenails clipped. And I give my dad a hard time because my dad, you know, he's a talkative person, and he is bonded with the guy in there who does his toes. Like there's a guy, like they're on a first name basis. He knows his life story, everything about his kids. Like, I mean, he, like, you know, it's, I mean, I guess my dad just sits there and talks his ear off the whole time he's cutting his toenails, whatever. And, you know, so I give him a hard time about that, you know, and somehow or another, I don't remember now how it got brought up or something that I would go to one of these places anyway. I don't remember how it came about, but for my birthday a couple months ago, my mom got me a damn gift certificate to get my toes done out there. And they were hell-bent on getting me to go. And of course, my girlfriend, she's all about this because she gets her toes done all the time. Like she gets a pedicure regularly. Like I guess all women do. In fact, I don't know that I've ever had a girlfriend that cut her own toenails. It seems like they all have somebody else do it for them. I don't guess women, I guess women in today's day and time, 2024, they're above cutting their own toenails. So anyway, my mom gets me a damn gift certificate as a birthday present to get my toes done. And my girlfriend, she's like, oh, we're going to make a date of it, blah, blah. I mean, she's just, I think they conspired against me on this, to be honest with you. So it was time to cut my toenails a few weeks ago. Here's another fish. It was time to cut my toenails a few weeks ago. And my girlfriend was like, we got that gift certificate. We're going to go out there and you're getting a damn pedicure. So I went. This ain't, keep in mind, this ain't last night's story. This is a few weeks ago. And I thought, okay, I'm going to go do this. If nothing else, at least I'll have some hot Asian girl rubbing on my feet and stuff. Because they do more than just cut your toenails. Like they rub your feet and all that. And who doesn't want some hot Asian girl, you know, rubbing on you and stuff? So I'm thinking, okay, maybe this is going to be weird, and I'm going to have my man card revoked, but, you know, I'm going to go do this. So anyway, a few weeks ago, me and the girlfriend, we go out there, and we get our toes done. And you walk into this place, if any of you fellas out there ain't never been to it, and I imagine most of you haven't, you walk in and it's like a dang it's a legit spa, and they got these chairs with little little bathtubs on the end of them. You put your feet in, and your chair sits there and vibrates while you're soaking your feet and stuff. And then somebody will come out, and they'll bring all their gear out there and start cutting your toenails. Now, when I cut my toenails at home, I got toenail clippers. And so I cut my toenails and go about my day. It takes 5 minutes. It's a quick process. I only got 10 toes. Well, let me tell you something. You go to one of these Asian spas, you better clear your schedule. You're gonna be in there an hour to get your toes done. So when you sign in, you gotta pick what kind of package you want. And I'm like, well, I just need my toenails cut. And of course my girlfriend, she's picking out stuff for me, you know. It's like, well, you need this, you need this. And so I'm like, well, whatever, you know, we got a gift card, whatever. This is a once in a lifetime thing. I ain't never coming back to a place like this. So you just have your fun with me now. As we got another bluegill there. And so I'm looking around at all the hot Asian girls while my girlfriend's selecting all this stuff she's gonna torture me with on spa day. You know, and I'm trying to pick out, like, which one do I want? Well, come to find out, you don't get to pick which girl's gonna rub on your feet and stuff. Yeah, that ain't how it works. You just get whichever one they pick for you, which I thought was a little bit of a disappointment, you know. But anyway, we go sit down. We're in this chair. I'm trying to operate the chair. And I'll be doggone if I don't get like the oldest, ugliest one there. This woman, she's about 70 years old. I don't even know if she can see my feet to cut the toenail. I'm a little worried she's gonna cut them down to the quick because she's so old. You know, and I'm looking around, I'm like, man, there's like 20 hot girls in here. How did I get the grandma of these girls, the great-grandmother, but whatever. So she goes to work on me there, cutting my toenails with normal toenail clippers, right? Well, okay, this ain't so bad. I don't like people messing with my feet or nothing, but it's not too bad. But again, this ain't just getting your toenails cut, folks. There's more to it than that. Next thing I know, she's got this ice pick looking thing, and she's going around like the inside of the nail bed there on me and digging out skin and stuff. I mean, and it hurts too. Like it's a damn ice pick. And she's got all this skin piled up there on the little towel that my feet's sitting on. And I'm like, you know, I'm digging into the armchair here, right? Like if you go out there, there's probably fingernail marks on the damn armrest where I'm digging in, like hanging on. Of course, my girlfriend, she's sitting there just loving every second of it. You know, she's laughing her ass off. This is a dream come true to her, to have me sitting out there getting tortured. And so I'm just hanging on for dear life. And I'm thinking, this has got to be the worst of it, right? Oh no, it gets way worse. Because a little while later, you know what she pulls out? And I'm not even exaggerating right now. She pulls out a damn cheese grater. I ain't lying to you, folks. It's a damn cheese grater. It's legit, like something you would see on one of these. I don't have anything fancy like that in my kitchen, but like if you were watching one of them TV cooking shows and somebody had a block of cheese and they were cheese grating to get little flecks and slices of cheese off, that's what she has. It's like legit metal with blades and all that. And I'm like, what the hell is she gonna do with that thing? And I look over at my girlfriend and she's just, you know, she's just enjoying every second of this. So this woman takes my damn feet, grabs that cheese grater and starts working on my corns. And skin's flying, man. I mean, skin is going everywhere. It looks like a daggone snowstorm in there because of all that skin coming off. She gets my corns. She's down there on my heels. Like, I mean, It's intense. And she wasn't being gentle either, man. She was raking that damn cheese grater along. And I'm just like, I'm white knuckled here, just hanging on to this armchair as she's got my feet. And so, anyway, I survive it, y'all. I get through the pedicure. And we walk out of there, and I'm like, I ain't ever doing this crap again so long as I live. I told the girlfriend, I'm like, I hope you enjoyed this. I'll never, ever, ever let somebody mess with my feet ever again. And we go home that night, and my toes are still sore because, again, she had the dang ice pick around the nail beds and stuff. Like it was a little sore. The cheese grater was uncomfortable while she was doing it, but it didn't hurt afterwards. This bass fisherman up here is coming our way. 100 miles of shoreline. Somebody gonna come find the one kayak on the water. I don't want to tell the story around him, y'all. I got more to this story. There's part 2 here. Because even though I said I wasn't going back, I ended up there again last night. We need to get around this guy before I tell you part 2. Let's put this story on pause a second. I wouldn't be shocked if YouTube put a damn commercial break in here. You know how they are. YouTube never misses an opportunity to plug in a commercial somewhere. This would be an ideal spot for it. We'll make some casts here. We'll get around this guy. He should be on the mother load of fish as long as he spent looking at his electronics. Oh, we got us a dang clump of... I want to finish telling my story. We got a clump of weeds right here, though, don't we? Boy, that's a mess. I told y'all not to cast over there, and you went through right on top of that mess. I'd kind of like to circle back around, but with him coming our way, I'll just keep moving along. We'll run into a bunch more fish down through here. I wouldn't mind circling back through, though, and catching some more of them big bluegill over there on that other side. Okay, maybe he's turning up there. I'll tell you what, let's do this. If he's going to turn and go the other way, let's me and you turn and go the other way. We'll circle back through right here, this one little area, and see if we can get some more of them 8-inch bluegill. And then maybe by the time we're done with that, old Doomaflotch there will zoom along to the next spot. So anyway, y'all, we get out a few weeks ago there after the old ladies done took the ice pick and the cheese grater to my feet. And, my toes are hurting. I'm walking out of there damn near limping. And I'm like, I ain't never doing this crap again. I'll cut my own damn toenails. I called my mom. We got out there. She's having a good time with it. Everybody's having fun at my expense, But we go to get in bed that night. And normally, and I had never noticed this before. I mean, it happens, but I'd never really paid attention to it because it's just one of them things that happens. But I go to get in bed that night, and my feet slide under the covers very smoothly. And I told a girlfriend, I'm like, you know what, my feet. And it's not something I'd ever noticed before, really, because it just happened all the time. But when it didn't happen, I was like, my feet didn't catch on the sheets. Because normally you just slide in and your rough feet there, the corns and the nails and stuff, they catch on the threads of the sheets, and or you go to put socks on and your feet are catching on the cotton of the socks. That's just what happens. That's just part of getting into bed or putting on socks or something. But it didn't happen. I'm like, well, that's kind of nice having smooth feet. And then the next day I get up and I go to put on socks, and I'm like, man, my feet just slide right into these socks. Like, they're not catching on nothing. I'm not getting little cotton fibers catching, you know, and messing up the socks. Like, this is kind of nice. And of course, the girlfriend, she's living it up. It's like, I told you, you're gonna like it. I knew you. And I'm like, the hell I am. I still ain't ever going back. Well, flash forward a few weeks later, and I guess as time goes on, and this is true with anything in life, as time goes on, you forget. You don't necessarily forget the miserable experience, but you forget how intense it was. It's kind of like when a woman has a baby. And with me, having been a nurse in my previous career, and having been to I went to nursing school twice. I went to LPN school, and then I went back and became an RN. So I've had to do clinical rotations through labor and delivery twice now in my career. That is not an area that I would have ever worked in voluntarily, although working in the ER, I did have to be in on a couple deliveries that didn't make it to here's another fish, that we could not get to labor and delivery. You know, they come in baby ready to pop out as soon as they roll in type things. Which you want to watch an ER nurse move quick. You'll never see an ER nurse move faster than when somebody comes in labor. You're trying to rush them down to labor and delivery. It's another nice bluegill right here. Like, no ER nurse ever wants to deliver a baby. And I especially, that is not my area, right? I just don't. I never wanted to be a part of any birthing. Let's measure this bluegill right here. It's another good one, man. Lay that tail. Oh, that's the biggest one so far, y'all. He's 8.5 inches right there. That is a nice gill, man, and he is thick. Boy, bluegill, you're lucky I'm ahead on videos, because people will be right over here putting them on a stringer. And by the time this comes out, they'll be gone probably. They'll be done nesting and everything. But anyway, I was going on the labor story. When women have a baby, it's a traumatic, painful experience. And it's one of those things that if our brains, the human brain has evolved to the point, here's another one. That's another one's going to be a good one too. The human brain has evolved to the point, well, look at him bend that rod in half, man. This is a good one. There's a bunch of good ones right here. I still ain't saw him yet. I still ain't. 2-pound line, I ain't going to horse him. This is another slab, right? Oh, this is a good one. I'm going to use the net on this one. I brought my net today in case we got on something good. I want you to look at this one, folks. Holy cow, look at this bluegill. Man, y'all, this is a slab right here. Oh, man. Oh. Wow. Wow, folks. This thing, I mean, this is a dang hand-sized bluegill. Look at that. You stay calm for me, bluegill. You know what? He's just a hair shy of 9 inches. But I want you to look at the size, just the height of him on my hand there, man. That is awesome, man. Look how thick he is right there, man. Let's see. Let's put him this way on the board. Let's go from the 8-inch mark to 12. He's like 4 inches tall. 9 inches long, almost, and 4 inches tall, man. That is awesome. That makes me happy. Y'all want to see me happy? I like some big fish, and I like some big bluegill, man. I enjoy me some bluegill fishing. We're creeping up on this spot again. Let's just move out this way and circle back. That way we can make some more casts over there. There may be some beds or something, possibly, right in there, because that one bluegill was peeing, and we're in that time frame where it's time. You know, in May here, like it's prime time for them to be spawning. And this little cove here, this little pocket, it's an ideal place for them to do it, with all this deep water around. But anyway, when a woman has a baby, it's a very traumatic, painful experience. And the human brain has evolved through the years to make us forget when we have, like, we'll remember the traumatic experience, but we don't remember the intensity of it as much. And it's just part of procreating. It's part of advancing our species as to why that is the case, because if a woman was able to remember just how traumatic and painful a childbirth was, the human species would go extinct, because no woman ever would want to ever be pregnant, right? I mean, that would be the best birth control of all time, would be to remember just how painful it was to pop another human out a small orifice. But something happens in our minds when we have a bad experience that we can remember it, but we can't recall necessarily the intensity of the experience. So as time goes on, women are more likely to want to get pregnant again, and we're more likely to do just stupid things that hurt us the first time. So anyway, it's been a few weeks since I had my toes done. I'm looking down the other day, I'm like, well, I need to cut my toenails. And a girlfriend's like, well, we need to get another pedicure. I'm like, I don't think we do, but she's like, don't you like your feet being all smooth, not catching on the bed sheets, not catching on the socks? I'm like, well, that is kind of nice, I guess. So somehow or another, y'all, my dumb ass, I get talked into going back out there. I get another pedicure, and I'm like, can I at least get one of the hot ones this time to rub on my feet? So, y'all, here I go, back out there last night. Me and the girlfriend, we go out there and get her feet done, as we got another big bluegill here. This one ain't no 9-incher. He's got himself all wrapped up here somehow. You got you lying around the fin there, fish. What have you done? So we go out there last night. That's a good one. I ain't putting him on the board, but that's another good fish. We go out there and we walk in, and there's this hot Asian girl. She's at the counter there, and I'm like, I want her. I'm like, yes, that's the one I want. And and so they take us back there, and they set us down and get in them chairs with the little foot bath things and the chairs that vibrate. And I see the hot Asian girl that checked us in up front, like she's coming back and getting supplies. And I'm like, yes, it's really happening. I'm really getting the hot one this time. And then she plops down in front of my girlfriend. And I don't know if maybe my girlfriend's learned to speak Chinese or something and be able to communicate and let them know to not give me the hot ones just from a jealousy factor or what. Because, you would think, you walk into this place, and there's hot girls everywhere, and there's like one old woman and one dude in this place, and just hot women. All the others are hot, and you would think just statistically that if you got the old one time, the odds of you getting her again, I mean, just statistically speaking, the odds of you not getting a hot one are slim. But not getting a hot one twice in a row, you should buy a lottery ticket, you know? Like, it's just, mathematically, it should be impossible. But the hot girl, she sits down in front of my girlfriend, and guess who walks up to do my feet? The dude. That's right. This old Asian man. And I'm like, I look over my girlfriend, and she's holding in the laughter, you know. She's trying not to just bust out laughing, because this is a dream come true for her. I wouldn't be surprised if she called up there in advance and learned enough Chinese to arrange all this, because I mean, she's just can't contain herself. That now, not only am I not getting the hot Asian girl, but now I'm getting a dude that's going to be touching my feet. And in my mind, you know, I'm a big Seinfeld fan from back in the day. In my mind, I'm immediately, oh, well, he just broke me off, y'all. I don't think that was a bluegill. If that was a bluegill, that was another big one. He just broke me off, too. Dadgummit, man. That was a good one. Well, crap, let's tie us on a jig right quick. But in my mind, my mind immediately goes to Seinfeld. Do y'all remember, some of y'all, Seinfeld's so old a show, a lot of you probably never even watched it. Especially these younger people today don't know a damn thing about stuff from the 80s and 90s, but there was an episode of Seinfeld back in the day where George Costanza, and he's probably my favorite TV sitcom character of all time, but George Costanza went to get a massage, and it was a dude that gave him a massage. And and you know, and George was like, you know, he wasn't sure if he was supposed to enjoy it or not, because some dude was rubbing on him, and he was worried that, you know, what had moved during the massage, and I you know, this dude, he's setting up his little supplies there to start working up on my toes, and I'm like, I'm having a George Costanza moment here. Like, I don't know if I'm supposed to enjoy this or not. Like, how am I supposed to feel right now? Some dude's about to be touching on my feet and stuff. And my dad, you know, like, I've made fun of him endlessly for this, because he likes this guy. The one old man out here at this place, that's my dad's buddy. Like, he knows him by name. They sit there and talk. My dad knows his damn life story. And and now he's got hold of my feet, and I don't know how to feel about it. And I'm just, you know, and then of course there's my girlfriend. She's got this hot Asian girl rubbing all over her feet and stuff. And yeah, so this dude, you know, and what am I supposed to say? You know, I can't even communicate. I don't know how my dad talks to them out there. I can't, even the minimal English they speak, like, I can't understand their accent at all. Like, when we're checking in and the hot Asian girl's trying to ask us about what we want and stuff, like, the girlfriend's doing the communicating. Like, I can't understand the accent. Like, I just can't. There's something about it. I can't register the words in my mind. I'm like, slow down, huh? You know, I can't do it. So I just sit there and I just make up in my mind what they're saying to me. Like, they could be cussing me out. They could be making fun of me. I don't have a clue what they're saying. I just pretend they're talking dirty to me. And so I don't have a way to communicate with them. And anyway, I don't know how to get out of this at this point. I'm already committed, because I'm in the chair, my feet are exposed, and, you know, up walks this dude. And so he goes to town on my feet, and he was more gentle with the ice pick than the other woman. It didn't hurt as bad this time. But I get through this, and, you know, he finishes up. And again, I don't know what the heck you're supposed to say. I mean, I know you say thank you, but, like, again, I don't speak the language, you know. And so I just give him a thumbs up, you know, I'm like, thanks, and give him the thumbs up. And my girlfriend, she's just, again, laughing her ass off. She's like, why did you give him the thumbs up? I'm like, well, what was I supposed to do? Give him like the okay, A-OK sign or something? Like, what are you supposed to do? And so, anyway, y'all, long-winded story to tell you. I've now had my toes done twice. And I'm pretty sure my man card completely revoked. Once my friends find out about this, they will have ammunition against me. The Tom Brady roast. If y'all watch the Tom Brady roast on Netflix, I laughed for 3 straight hours on that. The Tom Brady roast was amazing. Now, it was, granted, it was vulgar. There were some things there was no line that was not going to get crossed on that show. Like, I mean, some of the stuff, the Aaron Hernandez stuff, and I mean, it was something. If you're easily offended, that is not the show for you to watch. But I laughed for 3 straight hours. Because that's exactly how me and my friends talk to each other all the time. Like, we just ride each other. If we get on, if somebody does something stupid in our little circle, God help them, because the rest of us are just going to pile on. And when they find out that I've had my toes done, not once, but twice, once by an old lady and another time by a man, it's over for me, man. I'll never hear the end of it. One of these times, though, if I ever go back again, and I got a feeling the girlfriend's gonna make me go back from now on. She loves it. I mean, it's a damn spa date for her. Them women get into it. I'm the only dude in the place other than the guy who's working on my feet. What are the odds of that? 2 dudes in the place, and somehow we get stuck together there. Eventually, one of these times, if I do go back, statistically speaking, I have to have one of the hot Asian girls do my feet at some point. But I will say, it's nice having smooth feet, y'all. First time in my life I've ever had smooth feet. They've cut off a big portion of my corns. I used to have them corns sticking off my big toe there. And boy, they've shaved a bunch of it off. The cheese grater's pretty intense though. So anyway, y'all, if you're old and you can't bend over no more, or if you're like me and you're a little bit of a diva, I guess, and and need your toes done, it's an experience. It's an experience, folks. But I've now done it twice. I got no man card left. I feel like I'm on an episode of Seinfeld where George got to massage by a man. What a classic show. They just don't make them like Seinfeld anymore. That Tom Brady roast, though, y'all. Man. I laughed. My sides were hurting. I haven't laughed that hard in so long, because I'm a football fan anyway. And all the stuff they were making fun of is stuff that you hear people talking about on the talking head sports shows all the time. And so it was hysterical. I laughed, I was horse laughing in there. But totally, if you're somebody easily offended, and from judging my comment box of people who have been offended by some of the stuff I say, a lot of yous out there don't watch it, because you are going to be butthurt. I think we're going to move along from this little pocket here, y'all. We seem to have stopped getting bit. I'd like to have known what that one that broke us off was. I don't know that it was a bluegill. If it was a bluegill, it was a big one. May have been a bass or something. He broke us off pretty quick, so it didn't really have time to do much jumping before it cut us off. Probably run us over one of these pieces of wood sticking up. There's a lot of debris in here. I think TVA or TWRA had put some of this stuff in too, I think, like fish attractors or whatever. There used to be a sign up back in the day. Now there's a bunch of signs up around here now, but it's these yellow signs about every 20 feet telling people no trespassing, government property. I guess the government's worried that somebody's gonna get on their property and see something they ain't supposed to see. There's an old homestead up here. It's up, well, I'm terrible at judging distances. It's probably a quarter mile or so up, and used to, back in the day, you'd go up there and just pull your kayak up on the shore, and you had a date or something, you take your girl up there and walk around, look at the old homestead site and stuff. Most of it's gone, just basically a foundation at this point, but you kind of get a glimpse back in time. There was something splashing around there. Hard to get back there to the back of this because of all the wood. But, you know, you kind of get a glimpse back in time of how people lived a little bit before the government took all their land to do the Oak Ridge project and make the reservoir here and all that. On the other, this is technically the Oak Ridge owns this. Oak Ridge, for those of you out there maybe ain't history buffs, or maybe some of you that are watching this outside of the United States maybe aren't aware, Oak Ridge is where the atomic bomb for World War II was built. And so they bought up all this land and kicked people out and stuff, you know, because they had to make Oak Ridge and do their stuff and all that. So their land comes all the way over here to this side of the Clinch River here. Basically, it's where the Melton Hill Reservoir's at. It's part of the Clinch River. That's another pretty good bluegill right here. And so I guess they got tired of people crossing over there and getting on their land, so they put up these dang yellow signs about every 10 feet at some point this winter. That right, bluegill? Did you see them putting up them signs? He said he heard beating and banging in all these trees. He didn't know what was going on. But yeah, that's where they built a atomic bomb, all kinds of stuff buried over there, you know, all the workers and stuff. A lot of them had cancer and whatnot. My grandpa apparently helped build it. And my dad had told me, you know, he'd come home and have him sores and stuff on him, and which in hindsight was probably like burns, like radiation burns and stuff. And you hear the stories too of like they would just dig these giant pits and bury stuff, which I'm sure a lot of that's leached into the soil and made its way into the water. They've got a creek down below Melton Hill Dam here. It's probably, I don't know, within a mile or so below the dam, there's a creek that feeds in, and it's all barricaded off. And there's signs up about the radiation and whatnot saying do not touch the water and yada, 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 and all that. So ain't no telling what's bled into our water here. God, the guy's still up here. We're gonna go around him, y'all. I can't be this close to somebody. I don't understand. We got 100 miles of shoreline here, and this guy's right over here on us. I don't know how we both ended up in the same place. Yeah. Y'all come with me. We're just gonna go on a little ride. We're gonna get around him so we can have some peace and quiet and privacy. I want to be able to talk without being eavesdropped on. We'll go this way. There's another pocket on up here. We may fish our way up to it today. We spent a good amount of time here in this one. Get me a swig too, getting parched. How you doing? Good. You got the setup right there, man. Looks like a big screen TV. I like it. All right, let's see if we can go up here. We'll give a little space, and hopefully he'll keep going that way. And we'll go this way. And it looks wide open down through here. I don't see nobody else. I just don't like talking around people. I'm weird like that. I always have been. I don't guess I'll ever outgrow it. You'd think as long as I've been doing this YouTube crap, I'd be used to it by now, but I'm just not. Let's go on the other side of this over here where it kind of cuts in, and we'll take this stretch of shoreline and work our way down to that next pocket there. Here's something I thought about doing, y'all. I'll kick this idea around here. I'd thought about mentioning it before, but I thought, well, it'd be stupid to mention it because somebody will take the idea and steal it, because that's what YouTube is, just a bunch of thievery. If you got a concept or a video title that's doing well, somebody's going to take it. You can guarantee yourself that. I got one YouTuber, every time I have a video title that does well, that other YouTuber's going to take it. But here's something I thought about doing. I'll kick this idea around to you. With some of my local lakes, I've got Melton Hill, Fort Loudon, Watts Bar, Tellico. Bodies of water that are very close drive for me, very reasonable. I thought, wouldn't it be fun? And it might make for interesting, especially on these unedited, raw, and uncut videos. Oh, I had one. I went to pick up on it. But it might make for an interesting video concept to fish from one end of the reservoir to the other. Like, let's just take this body of water here at Melton Hill. We started right here at the dam today. And, well, we've obviously missed a little bit of a stretch here where we went around the boat. But, like, what if we start here at the dam, we fish a stretch, 2 or 3 hours, 4 hours, however long I'm going to fish that morning. And then the next time I come out to fish this body of water, I pick up where I left off on the previous trip. And I fish a stretch. And then the next time I come out, I pick up where I left off. And we just work our way along over the course of a few months there during the summer, whatever. Here's fish. Boy, he's a pulling too, man. Another big gill. This actually, I don't think he's going to be as big as some of the others, but boy, he fought like it. He got kind of deep too. I think we can get this one out. Hopefully he ain't hooked. too deep. Can't see right there. There it comes. Yeah, bluegill, you got that kind of deep, but I guess I don't see him bleeding. I guess it's gonna be okay. Got lucky, I guess. Sometimes they get lucky. But anyway, I thought it'd be kind of interesting. Just take fish from one end of the reservoir to that. And I don't know how long this reservoir is. Fort Loudon, I think from the top of Fort Loudon to the dam, I think it's like 50 something miles of shoreline. Watts Bar, dam to dam, I believe is 70 something miles. And so, I mean, it would take a long time because, I mean, we look at how far are we into today's video? We're over an hour into today. We spent most of that time back there in that little pocket catching a big bluegill, right? So like you get on some fish and you sit there and you catch them, and it takes a while to cover much water. So, I mean, it would take a while to do that, but I thought something like that might be fun just to see how many fish you catch, different species, things like that. Like, I don't know how it would work. We probably couldn't truly go every inch of it from one end to the other. Like, that would probably be impossible just because of lack of access in certain areas. Like you take, for instance, Watts Bar. You go to the top of Watts Bar, which is Fort Loudon Dam. Below Fort Loudon Dam, you start Watts Bar Reservoir. You've got a boat ramp up there by the dam, and then your next boat ramp downstream, anywhere I could launch down through there is like, gosh, I think it's like 12 miles or so away downriver. So there's going to be some areas on the river where it's like no man's land. Like, it don't matter which direction I launch from. Like, I'm just not going to be able to get to them. It would just take too long to be realistic. I mean, even if I'm in my kayak with the motor, I'm going to go 4 miles an hour. You go an hour, you've only gone 4 miles. So, you know, some of these places will just be unrealistic. But we could hit enough launch sites that we could work our way from one end to the other, hitting most of it. And I thought something like that might be fun and interesting. So I don't know, get your all's thoughts on that. I don't know how it would work too. Like, you take something like Fort Loudon. Fort Loudon, again, I think it's 50 something miles from the top of it to the dam. It's either 52 or 57, I think. But would you go just down one side of it? Would you flip-flop back and forth? Would you try to hit both sides of it? What happens when you run into creeks? Do you just stick with the main channel? Do you work back in every cove and pocket? Because if you do that, like when it's like 52 or 57 miles there, river, basically, from the top to the bottom. But when you start working your way down a shoreline, and then you work back into a creek that might be a mile long, or a pocket that's a 1/4 mile long, and work your way out, I mean, you're talking about a lot of miles. I mean, lots and lots of extra miles that's not factored in there, and that just takes time. I mean, you could spend a lifetime and not hit every square inch of this place out here. So I don't know how that would work. I guess, like, let's say we started here on Melton Hill and we were making our way upriver. I guess if we just said we were going from one end to the other, it might give us a little cushion. So let's say we come out here and we needed to fish this stretch. Like, this is where we had left off and we were starting, and there was like 2 boats out here or something. You know, maybe what we could do is go to the other side of the channel and work our way down. And then the next time we come out, we either continue on that side of the channel, or we flip-flop back over. Or maybe it's a situation where maybe just the lay of the river, maybe it's just, I take a look at it and know we're going to have better success on one side versus the other, so we go to the more productive side. Like, okay, well, just an example down here. On down, I don't know how far you can see down through there, but the river bends to the left down here, right? On the outside of that bend, it's a bluff wall with all them overhanging trees on that side of the channel. And so it's basically just like we're fishing here right now, right? I would expect to do well over there on that side. On the inside bend, it's just mud, and in the spring, late spring, summer, it's just weeds right there. Me throwing this bait here, the Gulp, I really don't like throwing it around weeds. I much prefer throwing around rocks and objects, and you know, every lure has its time and place. And for me, weeds, shallow weed areas, just, it's not this. You can catch some fish with this bait in those places, but it's not the best bait for it. You know what I mean? Like, so I mean, we could either fish that, use a different lure that maybe be a little bit more appropriate, or fish that area a little quicker and maybe not fish it as thoroughly as we might some other places, or just flip-flop over to the other side of the channel, do what we do, just in a more productive type of place, and then still continue on with the project of just fishing our way from one end to the other. Because, I mean, a lot of people, I think, they see a video, and I've talked about this in some of my catfish videos and stuff with the spot stealers, but they'll see me catching fish in a certain place, and they get all wrapped up in it like it's some kind of magic spot. In reality, well, you don't want to cast in that tree right there like I've just done. You ain't going to catch nothing in the damn tree, and I can't get that thing out either. Dadgummit. Oh. Why'd you cast in that? I told you be careful casting around that tree, and you threw right up there in it anyway. I can't take y'all anywhere. I threw deep into that tree too. I'm deep into that tree, y'all. Let's see if we can get this thing out. We're probably gonna get bugs all over us. Let's see what we can do here. Y'all see spiders falling on me, you swat them off there. Spiders don't bother me too terribly bad. I ain't like some people that's just deathly terrified of them, but I still don't want them all over me. Let's see where that thing goes in at. Oh, I see it there. Let's see if we can, there's a big spider web. What a mess, y'all. How did you cast that far into the damn tree? I thought y'all told me you've done this before. Is this your first day ever making a cast here? My gosh. You got your mind so focused on getting your toes done, you can't even think about what you're doing out here. Every one of you. I'm boosting business over here at the Asian Spa, by gosh. They ought to give me a free nail trimming or something. Goodness gracious, what a mess. Well, I hope these fish like pine-flavored Gulp, because they just got a... Goodness gracious, what a mess. We're out of it, and we got our bait back. Somehow or another, let's check our line here, make sure we ain't got a bunch of abrasion on it. It actually feels okay. Got to be careful with that 2-pound line, because you'll get a little nick on it and you'll break off, and it don't take much on 2-pound line to get you a line break. But anyway, you know what I'm trying to say though, right? Like, people see me catching fish in a spot, And they just automatically assume like, oh, that's the spot. Like, that's where I need to be. And they'll look at backgrounds and stuff. And, you know, hell, I don't hide nothing. I just, you know, I want to tell people the type of places I'm fishing. So that way, ideally, what I hope for is that people will take the information I give them and go out and apply it to where they're fishing at. So if I'm doing a catfish video and I'm catching fish that's 35 feet deep on the tip of a point and it's water temps, whatever, I hope that the people watching the video will be like, okay, well, Justin's catching fish 35 feet deep on a tip of a point. When the water temps are this, when my water temps get here, I'm going to look for places like that. And you'll open up your map and pick you out places that look similar to what I'm fishing. That's what I hope. But in reality, that's just not what happens oftentimes. People look for your backgrounds and they try to figure out the exact spot you're on, like it's some kind of magical spot, like that same bite's not happening all over, you know, the reservoir, or that, you know, it's just. And so I think doing a project like this where you just start at one end and make your way to the other, I think it might kind of show people just how many fish there are available, especially doing something like this where you're ultralight fishing and you catch a bunch of fish doing this. You know, using a small lure, ultralight tackle, like you're going to catch a ton of fish. And to go from one end to the other, and I promise you, we would catch fish the whole way. Now, granted, some places are going to be more productive than others. I mean, that's just the way it is. We're going to have little dead stretches. And we're going to have stretches where we get on the right tree and just tear them up. There'll be 100 fish on one tree. You know, that's just reality. Here's one. Oh, little bass. A little small jaw. A little smallie. Tiniest smallmouth out here. But what I would hope for over the course of the summer, it would take more than the summer, probably it'd take a whole damn year. But over the course of time, what I would hope is that it would show people that there's a ton of fish available all over. When you're doing something like this, where, I mean, we're just beating the banks, man. There's nothing special about what I'm doing. We'll come across areas that have fish, but I mean, all of this down through here looks the same. I mean, that little pocket we was in back there, it's obviously a little bit shallower. Out here, and again, I don't have the graph set up on here, so I can't tell you an exact depth or water temperature or anything, but it don't matter. When you're doing this kind of fishing, like, it just don't matter, because we're beating the banks. So what do you need electronics for if you're just beating the banks? But you can just look the way the land is, like them rocks, they just come straight off. And so it gets real deep real fast right here. And so we're just throwing that jig over there toward the shoreline, letting it sink. And as it falls, anything that's there along those rocks, or stuff that's broken off that maybe we don't see in the water, like fallen trees or, you know, boulders that have broke off the side over there. Fish could be on it, around it, under it, and when our jig falls down like a dying minnow, they rush out there and grab it. So you can replicate this anywhere, you know, from one end to the other out here. And so, I don't know, it was something I'd kicked around in my mind, something to do. The lazy person inside of me may possibly get tired of it, you know, once we get a long ways from home. You know what I mean? Because, like, I can run over here a few minutes from my house, drop the kayak in, fish right here, catch a bunch of fish, and be back home in no time. You know, I can get my fix for wanting to catch some fish on the ultralight. And if we made a commitment to go from one end to the other, well, there's going to be some days where maybe I just want to make a quick trip, and I'm like, well, crap, you know, I need to drive 30 miles. and then get on the water and then pedal, or if I got my other kayak, motor another 2 or 3 miles to get where we left off, because we don't have a launch site in a close proximity to where we need to fish. Like, I may grow tired of it very quickly in that situation. So, I don't know. And it would be tough too it would be a long process, because I mean, I've got some other trips. I do a lot of catfishing, obviously. And then these spring, summer months, I like to catch the carp, because that's the only time I'm good enough to catch carp is spring and summer. So I don't spend as much time. It wouldn't be like, you know, if this is what I just did all the time, it would be, we could make some progress. But with me just ultralight fishing 1 or 2 days a week, it's hard to really cover any significant water, so it would take a long time to do it. I don't know, kicking around the idea, but I do have a lot of trips planned this summer. I've got some catfish trips that are out of town. And what I'm hoping to do on those trips is not just go catfishing. I'm going out of town for tournament purposes, but I'm hoping to do some other types of fishing on those bodies of water while I'm in town for the tournament. Like, for instance, Hoover Reservoir is coming up next month. And last year, I can't remember if we fished Hoover in May or June last year, but the crappie bite was amazing up there. Like, it was such an amazing fishery for crappie. Like, I definitely want to take an ultralight rod and spend some time just messing around there on Hoover. And I've also heard that the buffalo are really good. Like, they have some really big buffalo on Hoover. That's what I've been told. And so I'd like to spend a little time and do some carp fishing up there as well, in addition to the catfish when I'm up there. So I kind of already, that's one of those places, I already have an idea of what I'm going to do for the catfish tournament. Like, I pretty much know where I'm going to go, and I know what I'm going to do. So I can spend my time pre-fishing doing some other stuff. And so, you know, so there's places like that. Santee Cooper's one that's coming up. It's at the very last tournament. I think it's in October, October or November. And so that's one I'd want to do some other type of fishing on. We go down to Louisiana. It's going to be hard not to catfish down in Louisiana, because the catfishing is apparently so good down there. It's going to be hard not to do that. But, you know, it is one of them places, you get in them bayous and stuff, it would be cool to just piddle around and try to catch some other stuff too, you know. So I'm probably going to take, when I go down there, I'm probably going to take everything. I'm talking everything, like not just my freshwater gear with the ultralight and the carp gear and the catfish gear, but probably take my saltwater stuff too, because I may end up going down and trying to catch some sharks possibly while I'm down there. I don't know. Like, that's one, like, if I don't have anything else going on in life, like if there's no, you know, it's hard to plan anything in life because that far out for it. I mean, as far as like a long trip, because of you never know, life happens, man. Medical stuff comes up and you just never know. But I would ideally, in a perfect world, if everything works out, I would like to turn that into about a 2-week trip. Maybe 10 to 14 days. That way I could take my time getting down there, do all the kind of fishing that I want to do, make sure I'm pre-fished and everything and ready for the tournament, and then be able to take my time getting back, you know, not have to run, because it's a long drive down there. So, I mean, we'll see. We'll see how life works out when that tournament rolls around, but that's another one where I would really like to do some other types of fishing while I'm there. But I mean, this is one of the things, man. I love me some ultralight fishing, and it's one of the few, boy, some big splash behind. I think that was a carp back there. This is the one type of fishing that recommend to literally everybody, because you can do it on a budget. You don't need much gear. I mean, a handful of jig heads, a jar of Gulp, and one rod in reel combo. Like, you're good. You're good. I mean, that's all you need. And you can catch fish pretty much anywhere, really. I mean, you can go ponds, lakes, rivers, creeks. I've used this in the dang saltwater, man. I mean, you can literally do this kind of fishing anywhere, and because everything's going to eat a small minnow-like bait, and you can have a good time, and it don't take big fish. You know, catfishing, and something hit me over there. Catfishing, well, one thing, you need catfish to be in the body of water you're at, and you need them to be fairly good numbers or good size, you know, to have the best time possible. I mean, when I went up to the Ohio River there in Owensboro, Kentucky for that tournament, like, I mean, I was not enjoying myself at all. I caught 3 fish in 8 hours, and you know, one barge after another going by, and I'm like, this sucks, you know, like, I wasn't enjoying it. They're just, you know, there's some places that's just, in that area up there, it's just been, you could catch a big catfish potentially, but it's the commercial fishermen have hit it so hard, and the pay lakers have hit it so hard. Like, your likelihood of getting a big catfish there, very low compared to a lot of other places. So, you know, one of them places that's just not a destination spot that I would really want to go catfishing at ever again. But places like that, just because they may not have the best catfishing possible, you take out an ultralight rod and just go beat the banks and stuff. I'm like, well, you know, you get a variety of species and have a good time. And again, it don't take a big fish to enjoy yourself with this kind of setup. And you don't need a lot of tackle. You know, catfishing, most people aren't going to just be fishing with one rod. You're going to have multiple rods. So that's multiple rod and reel combos you need. More tackle to be able to, here's one finally. Oh boy. Well, that fish right there had a bad day, folks. I yanked him up. I was trying to catch up with him and yanked him plumb up out of the water, and he nailed the side of the kayak and was gone. But I mean, you get what I'm trying to say. You can just have a good time with any type of fish, any species, any size, and on minimal tackle. This, oh, that was a little better one too. He just spit it. There's a tree right there that comes in. Let's make a few more casts to it. But catfishing, I mean, most people, you're going to need multiple rod and reel combos. You're going to need your sinkers alone in catfishing. You get you some small jig heads. I restocked last year on my jig heads, and I spent quite a bit because I bought a few thousand. Like, I'm ready for the zombie apocalypse, man, as far as ultralight fishing goes. Like, I'm not going to run out of jig heads again for a long time. But I mean, just tackle-wise, you can catch a lot more fish for a lot less money on an ultralight setup than what you can. Because here's the other thing. Let's say you go out and you buy you 4 catfish rod and reel combos. You get all your tackle, you're ready to go catfishing. Well, you still got to have some bait to put on your hook, right? So now you're going to need another rod to catch your bait with. So it's just, you end up, I mean, catfishing can get expensive real fast, but ultralight fishing, even if you buy a nicer rod, and this one here, I think they've gone up in price, but I think when I got this one, I think it was like $110, and I've had it for, hell, I don't know. I think I put my first ultralight video on my channel. Okay, we got something here. This ain't a bluegill. I don't know what it is. back off this tree a little bit. I don't know what this is. Is it a bass potentially? Yo, it was a bass, and he just spit it right there at the top. It was a largemouth. Dang. I see him. We got his head up and the lure popped free. That's 2 fish that it may be the same one we've hooked over there on that tree. That was a little bigger. I see the trunk of that tree right there at the top of the water, and I assume it comes out this way. But I think I posted my first ultralight video on this channel in 2016, if memory serves me. And I was using this rod then. So I know I've had it, and it's 2024 now, so I've had it at least 8 years. So, you know, you do the math on that, like, okay, I spent $110 at least 8 years ago, and I'm still using the rod, and it's caught, I don't know how many thousands of fish during that time. I mean, literally thousands. That's not an exaggeration. Literally thousands of fish. And so when you look at it from that perspective, just financially, I mean, it's pretty good value, pretty good return on your investment at that point. Spend $100 on a rod and you use it for 10 years, well, that's $10 a year, you know. So it just in the grand scheme of things, you got a little upfront cost in anything. No matter if you're starting something new, you're always going to have upfront cost. But it just don't cost as much day in, day out to go ultralight fishing. And you look at your other, obviously you can go catfishing from the bank, depending on where you're at, you know, in your body of water. But if you do, you're probably going to need specialized gear, right? You're going to want longer rods, surf rods and whatnot, to be able to cast further, get off the bank there. But if you're in a boat, you're going to need rod holder, or a kayak, you're going to need rod holders, you're going to need an anchor, probably if you're going to drift or troll, you're going to want a graph. I mean, like, there's a lot of other expenses that's going to go into being a catfisherman, whereas ultralight fishing, man, you go walk the bank. This setup here, you don't need nothing else. This is plenty. You get out in a kayak, I mean, this kayak here, we got no graph on it today. Well, we got rod holders here mounted for my catfish trips, but we're not using them for this because we're casting. I mean, literally, we don't need anything. Just any kayak, canoe, boat, water, anything that'll get you on the water, you're good. So this is the one type of fishing that I really try to sell people on, I guess, if you will. I really try to be persuasive because I know how much fun I have with it. Even on days where I'm just catching small bluegill, even, you know, today, obviously, we were getting some big bluegill down there in the other pocket, and those are super fun. But even on days where I'm just getting like 4 or 5 inch bluegill, if I get on a tree that's got a bunch of bluegill, and you're just catching one after another, I mean, that's fun. And that bite is, you can replicate that bite in a lot of places, on a lot of bodies of water. I've said this a million times before too, but really the only times that it's very difficult to enjoy ultralight fishing is when it's very windy, because the wind is going to make it hard for you to fill your bites. And when you get into winter, oftentimes the bulk of the fish will oftentimes go a little deeper. And if you're using a small lure like we're using today, it'll take forever to let that thing sink. And I'll be honest, I just don't have the patience to let it sink as far as it needs to sink. I'm more in spring, summer, fall, fish are up on the shoreline more. They're higher in the water column. You don't have to let it sink very far to get a bite. And so I'm just impatient like that. And so wintertime, you got to be a little bit more patient Muddy water can be difficult too. You maybe get less bites, but if you get it in front of them, I've got videos on my channel fishing in just chocolate milk-like conditions, catching fish with it, because you get it in their face and they will eat it. So I recommend you give it a shot. I ain't trying to sell you on any specific brand of rod or Gulp. You don't have to use the Gulp. You can use any plastic. You just want something that's going to represent what these fish are eating. I like the Gulp. I do better with the Gulp than other plastics. But the best ultralight fisherman that I know of is Randy Goad, Trout Magnet Man. And he uses trout magnets most of the time, which are just basically like a 1 inch or so split tail plastic lure. And he catches thousands of fish every year throwing that bait. So it's just a matter of getting a bait that you've got confidence in, that you enjoy throwing. And once you go out and have a few productive days and you get that confidence in you, and this is true of anything in life, anytime we start something new, it takes a little while to get your confidence going, right? You need some wins in the win column. You need some success. And once you have a little success, your future trips get a lot easier, it seems like, just because you've learned what works for you. You've got confidence to throw it. If you go, we've been going through a little dead stretch here, I feel like, where we just ain't getting bit as frequently. We've had some bad luck there, letting that bass spit it. But it don't change my approach at all. Like, I'm still going to move along. I'm going to fish the same way because I know what I'm doing works. I've got the confidence to stick with it. When you're new to something and you don't have the previous success to fall back on, you're just brand new, you're just inexperienced, it takes a little while. You go out and you make 20 casts and you don't get bit. You're like, well, I'm doing something wrong. I'm not any good at this. You're not enjoying it. You're not having fun necessarily. And so you need to have that. You need to catch some fish with it, and then you build upon that, and you get to a point where it's like you just know, even if you're going through a little stretch where you go a half hour and you don't get a bite, you know it's coming. Like, you're going to roll, the next tree you roll up on could have 50 fish on it. And you get a bait like this, like when you're ultralight fishing, these 1 inch Gulp, like, you usually don't go 50 casts without catching a fish. Like, usually, you're going to get something. It may not be necessarily a big fish or a fish that you were really hoping to get, but you're going to get some kind of feedback. Like, you're going to get some action on it. So, whereas you take a larger lure of some kind, maybe I keep having something nip me right here. You get a larger lure, like say a bass lure or something. You can make a lot of casts with a larger lure. And maybe you put your bait in front of some fish, but if they're inactive or just not interested in that particular bait or profile or action, well, they're just not going to eat it. And so there's been some days bass fishing, man, I've went out and thrown chunked lures all day long and not catch anything. But it's rare to go out and throw a Gulp or any small plastic all day long and not catch something. I mean, that last ultralight trip that's on my channel, and I can't remember how long I fished that day. Part of the time was catching skipjack. I don't remember how long I spent doing that. But I know I spent at least, here's a fish. Finally, we hooked up with something here. Let's see what we got. Oh, bluegill. You're a welcome sight, bluegill. You're a welcome sight, buddy. Where you been? But that ultralight trip, the last one there at Watts Bar Dam, I don't know how long I ultralight fished. It was at least an hour or so, maybe 2. And I only got those, well, I caught 2 bass, both of which were really nice sized bass. I think that smallmouth, if memory serves me, I think it was close to 19 inches. Oh, there's another one. Maybe we're on a tree right here. It's finally got some. Crap, my line's messed up on my reel, y'all. What happened there? There we go. But I mean, like, that was a rare day though, that I kept throwing and throwing and throwing and just wasn't getting bit. Like, that just don't usually happen. That was an anomaly for sure. But you know what? The hour, 2 hours, however long I threw the bait that day, I got 2 really nice bass. So I mean, it wasn't like it was a total loss on the day. Like, I mean, I got some nice fish. The ones I got, they just weren't very many. And typically when I go out ultralight fishing, I'm wanting to get a ton of action. I want bites, man. Like today, I woke up and I'm like, okay, I'm either going ultralight fishing today or I'm going carp fishing today. What am I doing? And I wanted to get some action, man. I wanted to catch a bunch of fish. And I almost had me another one right there. There's some fish around this tree. I don't know if you can see on camera. It comes out and it branches off right here. There's some bluegill around it. Most of them are missing it, so they must not be very good quality. Got some more wood that comes in right here. Somebody's blaring some music over here at the, oh, it's a damn ski boater or something about to put in over at the boat ramp. I hope they ain't gonna be going up and down playing that stuff. I got the fancy pants microphone on, so hopefully it'll drown some of that out. There's apparently ways to do that. I've been watching, I don't really watch, it's more background noise. And this is another, I'm gonna get my man card pulled for this too. It's bad enough I get my toes done now. I'm never gonna hear the end of it, but I'm gonna get my man card pulled for this too. So a few weeks back, I had just went down, I clicked on a Sam Sulek video. He's this bodybuilder guy. He posts videos every single day. And I just clicked on him because other people had been talking about him because he's kind of blown up the internet. Like, his channel's gone viral and he's getting just millions of views and whatnot. And so I clicked on him just to see, what the hype was about. And the first time I watched, I'm like, this ain't, I don't care nothing about bodybuilding and whatnot. And so it just wasn't really my thing, No offense to him, it just wasn't something I'm interested in or anything. I just wanted to see, though, like, what is it that he's doing in his videos that's helping get him the traction that he's gotten. But you know how it goes. You watch one video and the algorithm says, oh, well, you watched one, you must want to watch another. And so it starts popping up all the time in my feed. And, sometimes I'll be sitting there before bed or something and I'll click on a video, and usually I'll watch my talking heads on the sports channel. I'll watch Colin Cowherd talk about sports, but it ain't football season right now, so there ain't much to talk about. And I'll listen to Jim Cornette Experience. Listen to him tell old wrestling stories and stuff, and I enjoy that. But sometimes I get to the point where they're just, I've watched it, or there ain't nothing else on, and so I'll click on something at random, and there's old Sam Sulek, and I've been just, he's my background noise there. I'll sit there and listen to him talk and go on and on about his bodybuilding and weight training and stuff. And again, I have no interest whatsoever in it. But I can listen to pretty much anybody talk. If you're a good speaker and you're passionate about something, I can listen to you talk. If you're a not so good speaker, or you're not into what you're talking about, that's where I struggle. And you know, for whatever reason, he started popping up in the algorithm after I watched that one video, and now here I am, going down the rabbit hole. I don't even remember what got me on this topic. Now, I got sidetracked. But yeah, this is where my life is at now, folks. I get my toes done, and I'm watching a bodybuilder guy on the YouTube. God help me. His channel, though, is pretty damn impressive. I'll give him props for that. Like, he just does what he does, man. Like, he don't, oh, I know what I was going to talk about, his microphone. That's where I was going with it. But he's in these gyms, and he films himself working out. And, of course, all these gyms, they've got music blaring in there, right? I mean, the few gyms I've been to in my life, they always have music blaring. And somehow or another, he's able to, oh crap, y'all casting that damn tree again. There we go. Boy, y'all got to work on your casting skills. If I'm gonna bring y'all out here with me again, you better learn to cast around these trees. But he can somehow or another be filming inside these gyms, talking to a camera right there. Well, I knocked something out of that tree, I guess, and they come up and eat it. Did you see that? They didn't eat my jig, though. Dang fish, I gave you a free meal right here. Sometimes I'll do that when the mayflies are doing their thing. I'll shake a branch and knock them down in the water and then toss a jig in there and give them to eat. It just ain't time for mayflies yet. But anyway, he has a way, he's good enough at his editing that he can drown out the music in the background and still be able to hear his voice and stuff. Like, that's above my pay grade on the editing. Like, I don't know how to do that. I'm very limited with my editing skills, but there's apparently a way to do it. So if I ever get good at this YouTube stuff, oh, that's a fish right there, man. No, is it? It pulled back, or so I thought. I thought I was snagged, then it pulled back, and now I'm snagged. I feel dumb, folks. I think I've set the hook pretty damn hard in a tree right there or something. We may get to use our little plug knocker again. I forget what these things are called. Trout Magnet makes them, though. And I got some of them, and they seem to be working pretty well. Knock on wood, I don't want to jinx it, but I have yet to lose the plug knocker. So, you know, it's a long tubular piece of lead here with a piece of plastic. So you put your line through there, twist it, and send it down. And then just pop it up and down and try to, well, there we go. I just jinxed it apparently, because we just snapped our line. So we've lost our plug knocker now. There we go. That's perfect. Just talked about not doing that and we done it. Yeah, that's something to factor in on them things right there, y'all, is how much them plug knockers cost. Like, how many times are you going to get the jig back versus how many times you're going to break your line off trying to get it back? And are you going to spend more money on the plug knockers than what you're going to spend on jigs? Because you buy your jigs in bulk, they're cheap. You know, I buy mine. Last year I bought a few thousand there, so when you do that, you drive your price down to just a few cents per jig, and so you're going to have to get a high percentage of them back with that plug knocker to make it worthwhile. But I give it the chance there. Got a piece of lead over this one. I'm gonna need a refund on that jig. I don't know if we can thread this thing through. Not that I can half see it anyway. I need to get my reading glasses out of the thing there. Well, hell, you see right there, y'all maybe see it better than I can. You got a piece of lead covering the eye. Let's get another one out. My eyes ain't good, but I can see that piece of lead covering it. I need a refund on that. I want my nickel back, doggone it. But, you know, again, you buy them in bulk and you drive your price per jig way down. And so if you're getting, let's say you're getting 10 jigs back for every one of them plug knockers you lose, it may not be worthwhile. It may just be better just take your loss on the jig. And I got them as I thought it might save me some time having to do like this right here and retie on camera and stuff when I'm doing these unedited videos, because who the hell wants to watch me retie a jig when I break off? But I guess some of you are kind enough to stick with me even when I'm retying. All right, I think we're back in the game here now. Let's trim our tag end of our line and let's put us another gulp on. And next time I set the hook, I'll try to do it on a fish instead of a tree. I swear it pulled back though. I swear it did. I didn't imagine that, folks. I need to put me a little pair of scissors in here in this kayak's what I need to do. My pliers are getting to the point now you can't hardly trim a line with them. Well, this is painful to watch. I can't trim the damn thing. My pliers have gotten so, you know what it is? I've been taking these pliers and trimming the fins on my pieces of skipjack, and I've dulled them little cutting pieces right there. I've dulled them to the point that you can't cut this thin line with it anymore. This little 2-pound line. Hell, my damn knife's here is so dull. You can't. Boy, I'm in bad shape, y'all. I'm gonna have to take my teeth here in a second. Lord. I'm gonna take my teeth. That's where we're at with it, folks. I gotta take my damn teeth, like these old hillbillies. You get some of these hillbilly fishermen around here, they ain't got but 2 teeth in their head, and they'll take one of them, mash their teeth against their gum that's hard as a rock, and bite through their line. That's where I'm at. We're back in the game now, though. Let's try not to lose any more until I get me a pair of scissors to keep in the kayak here. You know what we ain't hearing in them trees, though? Is any of them cicadas. It's supposed to be a big hatch of them this year. And it's supposed to be, yeah, well, I feel like every year we hear stories of some kind of 7-year hatch or 20-year hatch or something like that, you know, all the time. It's some kind, it's like a damn moon. Every time there's a full moon, it's some kind of, it's a blood moon, a strawberry moon, a chocolate jello moon, something, I mean, all the time. And it's the same way with the cicadas every year. But supposedly, allegedly, it's going to be a big year for them. And Pro Neighbor, he's not my neighbor, he's Pro Moderator's neighbor. But he sent me a little video. Him and his wife, they live in Knoxville. They're neighbors with Pro Moderator. But they've got a house somewhere down on Chickamauga. Here's a fish. Oh my gosh, and he popped free too. But anyway, they got a house down on Chickamauga somewhere that they do Airbnb stuff. They rent it out. And he sent me a video from down there. And it was in the evening, and you could hear them things in the trees, man. Like they were loud. And so they're popping out down there apparently, but I ain't seen or heard any around here yet. But what we're going to do, and this is going to be fun, when they do pop out and start dying off, the last time it happened, the last time we had like a really big hatch of them, it was a few years ago. I can't remember if it was like 2019, 2020. I can't remember. Maybe it's 2021. Years run together when you get older, folks. But me and Pro Moderator had went out, and we were catching them things on topwater. We're catching carp on topwater. I was throwing a little crankbait that was brown in color and about the same size as them cicadas. And you'd throw it around these trees, and it would look like a cicada hitting the water, and the carp would come up and eat it. And boy, that was a fun time. And so Pro Neighbor reached out to me, and he's like, hey, when this cicada thing goes down, you want to get out there and go fish for them? And I'm like, yeah, I'd be up for that. And he's wanting to do it with some fly rods. He's apparently got a couple fly rods, and he's gonna, we'll see if I get out there. I'm definitely gonna do it, but I don't know if I'll be doing it with a fly rod. My longtime viewers have heard my stories on my fly rod experience. I've got a Tenkara rod that I actually do. I haven't used it in a long time, but I did enjoy it a little more than the traditional fly fishing. I took a fly fishing class there a few years ago, trying to learn how to do it, and it was a day of my life I'll never get back. I could care less if I ever go fly fishing again. But I did enjoy the Tenkara fishing, which I have one of those rods. And I've not used it on like a mountain stream or anything, but I've used it in a pond and on the lake and caught some fish on it, and it was a good time. Like it's very fun to catch fish on that setup. And I can only imagine, I assume Pro Neighbor's rods, his fly rods, are probably a little bit heavier action. I hope they are for the carp. But I think it would be fun if we can somehow get them to eat that. Whether we catch them on a fly rod or we catch them on just normal rod and reel using an artificial lure, it's going to be a good time either way. But it should be any time now. I mean, if they're already popping out down there where he's at, down there on Chickamauga, I mean, it's not that far away, you know, climate-wise. Should be comparable to us, so any time now. And I don't know how them things work. Like, is it just a wide spread, like over the whole state, or do they kind of follow a line? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know enough about them. The only thing I really know about them is just what I read on a news headline every year when the next hatch of them pops out, and they tell me it's some kind of, you know, chocolate jello full moon or something. I don't know where they come up with all these names, man. Every full moon's got a name. Every time it turns cold again in the spring, there's a dogwood winter, a blackberry winter. You know, I'm like, it's spring. We just had a cold front, but no, it can't just be a cold front come through. It's got to be some kind of winter. So I don't know who comes up with this stuff. Probably that Farmer's Almanac. Lord knows they've never been wrong. The thing about the Farmer's Almanac, though, as far as predicting the weather, they're about as accurate as the people with the Doppler radar. You know, Farmer's Almanac, they can put out their book there years in advance and have just about as much accuracy as the weatherman who's got Doppler radar and this fancy technology. They're about as good as what the almanac is. I'm just too damn cheap to buy the farmer's almanac. I ain't really a farmer. I ain't got no need for it. Same thing with the planting too, you know. Oh, here's one. Got another tree that comes out right here. We may need to make another cast or two. Come here, bluegill. We should have just kept going today. When we left out of that one pocket and went around the boat, instead of just fishing here in this area, we should have went on up to this next pocket and see if there ain't some fish spawning up in there or something. Oh, that one hit me. I don't remember what I was talking about now. Something about dogwood winters and farmers' almanacs. Ah, hell if I know. I ain't no farmer anyway. Oh, I know I thought I was going to go on about them. There's some people that swear by planting, you plant your seeds on certain moon phases. And if you get it wrong, like your corn will be short and not have much corn on it or something, or you know how it is. I plant stuff at a time of convenience for me. I try to wait until after the frost, the last frost, and I plant stuff. But I ain't planting stuff for a living, so I don't have to think about it that hard. Now I did, so this year I've been doing this raised bed garden at my house. And so far so good with it. Like my plants look really good. I got some pepper plants, some tomatoes, I got some peas and some cucumbers, and I got another little bed that's got some sunflowers. It's just sunflowers in that one little bed. And I've done some videos on it there for my channel members. I'll put out a video once every week or two just for my channel members. And I usually walking around my house and my yard showing projects, kind of behind the scenes stuff for the people who support me there on a channel membership. And I was showing these tomato things I built. This we're snagged again here, y'all. Go down there. Would you swim down there for me and get that thing undone? I'm gonna see, I think, let me see. I thought I had another one of them plug knockers in here. Hey, there's me a pack of crackers. I got a few packs of crackers in here. I got crackers, but apparently ain't got a plug knocker. I thought I had another one in here. I thought I'd put one. Well, maybe it's in my life jacket. I thought I'd put one in each kayak, and then I had one in my life jacket. And apparently I shouldn't be doing much thinking because I don't see it. Let's see if we can just work this thing free. I don't know if we're gonna get lucky on this one or not. Boy, we just retied too. I wish y'all would quit throwing around these snags. I don't know why I can't count on you to not get snagged. I spend all my fishing time trying to get y'all unhung. Goodness. Bless its heart right here. Let's see if I can reel down to it maybe. No, we ain't getting that back, folks. Now maybe we are, because we're just going to pull up the whole dang tree. There we go. All right. Well, crisis averted. Let's Get this thing undone from the branch. That's one way to do it, just break the whole branch off. We're about to break the branch of this tree off behind us here because we got our other rods in it. Let's get ourselves out of here, and I'm gonna tell you about my dang garden because I know y'all dying to hear about it. You just never know what we're gonna talk about on these trips, y'all. This is real life fishing, man. Y'all my fishing partners. You's out here with me today in the kayak. If we was in a boat together, this is the kind of crap you'd be hearing about. But anyway, I made this raised bed garden, and my tomatoes are at a point now where I need to do something with them to support them. Or, you know, almost that point, you gotta support them. Gotta make plans for how I'm gonna support them. And historically, when I've planted tomatoes in the past, back when I had like my normal garden, just in the ground, I would use them little wire tomato cages. And they're about 3 foot tall, and they really just ain't worth a crap. Your tomatoes, I've never understood the concept of a wire cage for a tomato that's 3 foot tall when your tomato plants, here's a fish. That's a little better one, a little better quality. I've been missing you, bluegill. We went through a little dry spell down through here. I think the better bluegill probably on the nest. Now I'm betting where we were getting them other big ones, kind of in that little cove there, they were probably nesting. But anyway, I've never understood these tomato cages. They make them about 3 foot tall, knowing damn good and well your tomatoes are going to get 6 to 8 foot tall. And once your plant outgrows the cage, they get top heavy and everything just falls over. So then you got to jimmy rig something together to try to support them. So in the past, I'd put like I'd use the wire cages, and then I'd drive a fence post about 8 foot tall. I'd drive it down the ground, and I would tie the cage off to it to support it. And so this year, I was like, well, I really don't want to do that. You know, I'd like to have something that's suitable for these tomatoes. And so I've done some research online, and a lot of people are making their own cages. They're taking cattle panels, which is a little bit stiffer wire, and they're bending them and making their own cages that are 6, 7 foot tall or whatever. And it sounds good in theory, except for the fact that I have no way of hauling those cattle panels to get them to my house. So I come across another design, and it was made out of wood. Now, wood's obviously not going to last as long as what the wire would for the cattle panels. Like those, you make the ones for the cattle panels, here's another fish. You make the cattle panel ones, they're gonna last forever. The wooden ones, you're probably gonna get a few years out of. But it's a lot cheaper to do the wooden ones. You just gotta put a little time into making them. And so I made me one the other day, and I'd done a members only video and showed off the garden there and showed that first one that I had built. And I put it up, and I wanted to see how, before I made the others, I wanted to see how it was going to hold up to them storms we had. I thought, you know, if it'll hold up to the winds from that storm, then I'll know to go ahead and make the others. Because I only got 3 tomato plants in my garden. So I don't need a lot of them, I just need them 3. And it ended up holding up pretty good. So I just said, I'm gonna make me some more. So that's probably gonna be maybe this afternoon. Look at this turtle right here. He come up and got him a cameo right on. Did you see that? He come up right here. I ain't sending you no check for that turtle. Them turtles, man, they get expensive on the cameos. They're proud of their services. This old mud turtle. He's a big one too. But I think this afternoon's project, I'm gonna make me some more of them wooden tomato cages for my other 2 plants. But I got me some of them, I don't even know what they are. I guess they're used on like porch railings and stuff. They're a thin board, pressure treated. and they're just basically long strips. So we got us another bluegill. And so I built them, or I built that one there, and the strip, they're like 8 foot long. And I took the ends of the board there, I took the saw and I made like a spike on the end of them so I could drive them down into my garden bed there. Get them down a little ways, but I mean, still just, even driving them down in the ground, them things are still 6.5, 7 foot tall when it's said and done. So and they're a lot more sturdy than the wire ones there that you get at the Lowe's or Home Depot or whatever. So it's an experiment this year. We're going to see how it goes. They may not last but a few years, you know, before they rot or fall apart, and that'll be okay. You know, hopefully come up with something better. What I was really hoping for was to find somebody on Marketplace or somewhere selling the heavier duty tomato cages out of like the cattle panels, but I couldn't find anybody selling any on there. There's a bunch of tomato cages for sale, but they're all those little flimsy wire ones, and I just don't want to fool with that nonsense again. I've done that for years, and it's always the same. The plant outgrows them in a couple months, and then you're trying to jimmy rig on something together to be able to keep them upright. But the garden overall, y'all, is doing well. Everything looks really good. I've got something swimming at me is what I got there. I couldn't catch up with my dang line. Now I got my line around my rod tip. This is a dang blooper reel here, folks, and I just lost the fish too. After all that, I lost the dang fish. Dadgummit. Professional, folks. We're professional around here. I make the easy stuff look hard. That's what professionals do. But anyway, the garden's looking good, man. I got blooms all over everything. Everything's getting big. My peas, they've gotten big enough now to reach the trellis I made. My cucumbers are almost at that point. Sunflowers I'd planted them all by seed, so they're sprouting up. And my video, I'm a little ahead on videos right now. I'm about 2 weeks ahead right now, so you're seeing this probably a little after the fact. So my garden's probably grown significantly more by the time you're seeing or listening to this video. But I just been periodically, you know, I'll go out there in my yard and whatever's going on in life and give some behind the scenes stuff for my channel members, because I figure if they're supporting me there on a monthly basis, they're the type of people who would be interested in hearing stories like that and seeing that stuff. Plus Daphne the dog, it gives her a chance to be on camera, and we've turned her into a little bit of a diva too. I'm surprised she ain't wanting to go with us to get her toes done. I need to take her somewhere and get her a bath though, that's for sure. She stinks lately, stinks like a dang dog. I'd give her a bath before, I'd put her in the shower with me. And my last dog, Roscoe, when he needed a bath, I'd just get in the shower with him and get him. I had some dog shampoo, you know, we'd lather him up real good. He'd sit right there, calm as could be, let you hose him off and dry him off, and he was real calm about it. Like he didn't care. But Daphne, I pretty much, to get Daphne in the tub, like I've got to wrestle her, get hold of her, and she's kicking and fighting the whole time to not get in the tub, and I got to hold her down in there. Like it's an ordeal to give her a bath. So I need to find somebody that I can pawn that task off on. You know what I mean? Like that's one of them things. I'm kind of cheap. I don't like paying for stuff, even though we obviously just paid to get her toes done last night. But historically, I don't like paying for stuff like that. But I'm about willing to pay one of these services to give Daphne a bath. That way I don't have to fool with it. Because she does not like it. Wind's starting to kick up on us here a little bit, y'all. You could have told me the wind was going to blow today. Hopefully, as long as it don't get no worse than this, we're okay. I think we get down here, we're not too far away from this next little creek or pocket here. If there's nobody in there, we'll run to the back of it and start fishing our way out and see if we don't get on some more fish that are maybe bedding. Plus, too, if this wind keeps picking up, maybe we can hide from the wind a little bit back in there. Because it does seem to be blowing all of a sudden. I don't know, just all of a sudden kicked up. When you're using a light jig like this, 1/64 ounce jig, and the wind blows a bow in your line, not only does it make it hard to feel your bait when it gets bit, but that the wind blowing the bow in your line will also move your jig because it's lightweight. It'll blow it across the water. So you'll be casting to one thing here, but your jig gets blown several feet away from it. The wind ain't your friend when you ultralight fishing. And I got a feeling my friends, when they hear about my pedicure story, I'm gonna need me some new friends because I ain't gonna hear the end of it. Now, I'm gonna tell you folks, it's nice putting socks on. I don't like wearing socks. I'm a flip-flop kind of person. But when you gotta put socks on or you go to get in bed and your feet ain't ripping the sheets, it's kind of nice. But boy, when they take that cheese grater to you, man, like it's intense. I just never like people messing with my feet, you know what I mean? Like some people like foot massages and all that. I'm ticklish. And honestly, when they take that, one of the things they do is they take it's like a scrub brush, like something you'd wash your dishes with. And they take it to the bottom of your feet. And that part kind of tickles. Like it's not very enjoyable when you're getting tickled like that. We never could figure out, this is one thing we couldn't figure out, and this is where I guess the language barrier come into play once again. Was one of the things that my girlfriend got. I just wanted I just basic thing, I didn't want all the frilly stuff. Of course, she's got to have her toenails painted, and they got to be some kind of gel thing on there, and she's got to get this some kind of leg massage scrub thing. She's the full Monty with it. And one of the things they done is they took these like it was an orange slice or a mango or something, and they were rubbing her leg with it. But they only rubbed one leg with the orange slice. Oh, I'm in that dang tree. I'm waiting on that jig to fall, and we're in the dang tree over there. We never could figure out why they done one leg and not the other. And again, we couldn't ask because we don't really, communication very difficult. They know how to ask for your credit card, but that's about it. But we couldn't figure out why they only scrubbed one of her legs with that thing. And then too, so my girlfriend, she's tatted up. She's got some tattoos. I don't have any tattoos on me. there ain't no logo or symbol or design out there that I want to wear the rest of my life. Plus, I don't like needles. I'll stick anybody, you know, my nursing days, I can stick anybody. It don't bother me at all, but I don't want to be stuck. So you ain't gonna see me having no tattoo. But my girlfriend, she's got several tattoos. And I told her she needs a Kayak Catfish logo tattoo. That's what she needs. She'd actually look cool if she had one of them. But one of the things that she has tattooed is some kind of, I forget what, it's Chinese writing. Whatever the Chinese writing is called. Hieroglyphs? No, that's Egyptian, I think. You know what I'm trying to say though, it's like Chinese symbols. Like Chinese people don't write in letters, they write in symbols. And so she's got some Chinese symbols on her foot there and her leg. And I forget, she told me what it allegedly means, but you know, who knows? I mean, you're getting a foreign language tattooed on you, you don't know what the hell it says. And that little hot girl that was doing her feet was kind of, I think she was asking her about it. Again, the language barrier, very difficult to understand. And she was pointing it out, and you know, my girlfriend saying, well, it was Chinese. And I think the girl asked her, do you know Chinese? And my girlfriend's like, no. And then she started laughing. So who knows what my girlfriend's China symbols actually mean on her foot there. It could be ugly slut whore for all she knows. You know, who knows? So, again, I have no idea. You go into a place like that, language barrier, you know, same thing too. Like if when I interact with people I can't understand, if it's a woman, I just make up in my mind what they're saying. You know, I don't have a clue. But I'll tell you this though, if for some reason I ever did lose my mind and get a tattoo, and I'd have to lose my mind. But if I did, you know what I wouldn't get? I wouldn't get some language tattooed on me that I couldn't read. The hell, you know, even today, even getting something in English tattooed on you, people are so damn stupid today, I wouldn't trust them to spell the words right. Wouldn't that be something? You get some word or phrase tattooed on you and they misspell it. I bet you that happens all the time. People today can't spell anything, even with spell check. My comment box every day, we got a fish right here. I couldn't catch up with him. The wind had blown a bow in my line, I couldn't feel him. But even today's time, my comment box, people got all kinds of misspelled words there. I'm like, you got spell check on your phone and your computer. How are you misspelling words? But they do it. So I for dang sure wouldn't be trusting nobody to tattoo something on me and hoping they're going to get it right. I just ain't never been into the whole tattoo thing. I've never, even in my younger rebellious years, I never got into it. Everybody's got their thing, you know, and they're young and impressionable. They got to rebel and try to be different in life and stuff. I never did that. No tattoos. I was never into drinking, partying, drugs. I don't smoke no cigarettes. Like crap, I got hung again over here, y'all. I just never got into that stuff. The only vice I've ever really had is loose women. And women are about as expensive as any drugs you can get hold of too, that's for dang sure. Come out of that. With this wind blowing like it is, we're gonna have a hard time getting over here to try to reel down on it. I sure don't want to lose another jig today, y'all. I feel like we done lost, I don't know how many we've lost now. Was it 3 or 4 we've lost? The wind's gonna blow us along here. We're gonna get about one shot at getting this thing. See if I can reel down to it here. Hit it from a different angle maybe. Dadgummit. Golly bum, man. All right, we're gonna retie again, I reckon. I'll tell you folks, I've said it before, I'm gonna say it again right now. When you buy your jigs, buy them in bulk, because you're gonna go through some. You throwing around trees and brush and all that, buddy, you're gonna go through some jigs. But you buy them in bulk, you only spend a few cents a piece, so you're not out very much. Let's see if boy, things just got more challenging here, I'll tell you that, between my poor vision and the wind blowing the line, getting it threaded through there, a little bit's a challenge. But I'm a professional, so I was able to do it. Y'all keep practicing. Eventually, someday, you'll be able to lose as many jig heads as I do. I'll tell you what we're going to do when we get this retied, though. The wind's just taking us along right now. And we'll just let it blow, because it's really picked up all of a sudden. Hopefully, I got this fancy microphone on, it ain't going to drive you insane. We're going to just go in here in this pocket and see what's happening in there. Maybe we'll find us some more better quality bluegill maybe. Or some other species too, you never know. Make sure I'm cutting the right line here as I, you know what, let me just bite this damn thing. Let me use my teeth like them old hillbillies again. I didn't get it. Okay, good enough. Biting our line in half like an old hillbilly. Whatever it takes, folks. Whatever we got to do to catch a fish, man. We get it done in the end, don't we? Got a piece of line in my mouth now. Let's stick this on here. We're going to make a run. We're going to go all the way to the back of this pocket. And we'll just see. I bet you, man, I bet you a lot of these bigger bluegill probably, they're probably on the nest right now. Because we're not really, I mean, we've caught some fish. We've got some coming down through here on this ledge, but we're not getting the quality, and we're not getting as many as what we were doing right there first thing in that other pocket. So let's just go back in here, and it'll help us hide from the wind too. I hope there's not 57 bass boats back in here. If there is, there's another one on the other side of the channel over here by the campground. We might just make a run over there. Either way, the way the wind's blowing, I think we're going to be shielded from it back here, so it should be a little better for us. Allow us to fish a little bit more easily. Fingers crossed, y'all. Fingers crossed there's not a bunch of people back here. Let's see. So far, so good. So far, so good. I think we're golden. Golden like a goose. All right. Well, y'all come along for the ride with me. I'll go back up in here. It's not very long. I guess it's really a pocket. I don't think there's any water that runs in back here. So I think it's like a cove. I know there's a lot of wood toward the back of it here, and then of course you got all these overhanging trees and everything that comes in along the sides. So, and the water's a lot shallower back here. It'll be shallower and more protected. The ideal places for some bluegill to be spawning. I mean, some of them bluegill though in that other pocket though, I mean, they were good size. That one there wanting to graze the 9-inch mark, man, that gets me pumped up, y'all. I like me some big bluegill. I've talked about it so many times, but I do enjoy, I genuinely, I can't say the word, genuinely enjoy bluegill fishing. I do. I always have. I never outgrew it. I appreciate them for what they are. I mean, they're abundant, they're fun, they fight hard for their size. The tackle I used, I mean, the tackle I use makes a 5-inch bluegill feel like a big fish anyway, so. If I can go out and catch me a bunch, I have a good time with it. I have fun. And you start throwing in some bigger fish like that we've got this morning, I go home happy. I'd kind of like to get back down to Florida. You know, the last few years I've gone down and fished on Lake Ida. And, you know, the last couple of years I've went down there on my way down to the Florida Keys. I'll stop off and fish on Lake Ida. And they've got them big coppernose bluegill. And they're like a different strain of bluegill that get bigger, right? Like they get a little longer and they get a little thicker. There's the bigger bluegill. And man, they fight hard. I mean, they are a good time. But, you know, again, every time I've been down there, it's been in the winter. And I'd like to go down there. Of course, I guess down there, hell, the winter, I bet you them things probably spawn in January, February down there with the climate and all. I was down there last year and I went down the week of Thanksgiving and got on a bunch of them. And so, okay, that's a fish. I thought I snagged it for. I think I was snagged, and I think I had a fish on, he got me in a snag and come out. I think that's what happened. But it's another better quality, man. We moved back in here and all of a sudden, look here. We should have come back in here sooner. Why didn't you tell me just get on? When we was out there not doing any good on the main channel, I'm sitting there just telling stories and flapping my gums. And you should have told me, just come along, Justin. Let's move on to the next one and get back on some better fish. I blame y'all. Let's throw him on the board too, why don't we? Let's just take a look and see what this first good one back here in this pocket's gonna do for us. Yeah, he's another one that's over 8 inches right there, man. I mean, I mean, I can't tell you enough, man. That's solid fish out here on public water. Where I'm at, like that's a really good fish. But yeah, down there on Lake Ida, they got them coppernose, and I was down there this past year and got a bunch. But I'd kind of like to go in one of the warmer months, like spring, just to see if the bite's any better or, you know, any different. I think it'd be real fun if you got down there during the spawn. But I don't know, honestly don't know when those fish would spawn. I bet it's really early, like January, February. But nobody fishes because I mean, it's Florida. And when people go over there and fish Lake Ida, they're not trying to catch bluegill. Like they're going after peacock bass, they're going after clown knife fish, like they're going after exotics, or they're going after largemouth bass. Nobody's down there fishing for coppernose bluegill. So like they're just, and hell, honestly, a lot of those people probably don't even realize that they are coppernose bluegill. They probably look at them and think they're some kind of like Mayan cichlid or, you know, some other kind of exotic of some kind. So it would be tough to get any reliable information as far as when they're going to go on the beds and stuff. I actually had a guide tell me down there. I had mentioned that I had got some, and the guy was like, "We don't have bluegill like that here. Like they wouldn't survive. They would be eaten." And I'm like, "Yeah, you do." Like I imagined some things, like what them Asian women at the pedicure place are saying to me. I have an imagination on some things, but like I've got video proof of these copper-nosed bluegill catching them on rod and reel. Like they're there. But I'd like to go back in the warmer months and just piddle around with it and see what it's like. I mean, and too, just for the peacock bass also, because I mean, there are, exotic species, but they need hot water basically, from where they're from. Like West Palm is about as high up north as what they can survive at in Florida. And so I would be curious to see what it would be like to fish for them in the spring or summer months too. I think their bite would be a lot more active. So I'd like to make it back down there at some point in the warmer months. It's just, man, you know how it is down there in Florida, buddy. You try to fish there in the summer, you can't fish till about 8, 9 o'clock, and then it's the face of the sun out there. At least in the winter months, you can fish a little longer. We got a tree right here crossing over. It's blocking us off, y'all. We may see if we can go around it or over it here. I don't know how far back in this thing we want to go, but we may see if we can. All this wood, we're just like that, I'm hung. Dadgummit, man, we're snagging a lot today. That's what I'm afraid we're going to deal with back up in here. We need us to find us some spots, like shallow bedding areas around some of this wood. There it comes. Let's see. These two trees go all the way over. Maybe, here's one thing we can do is we can just kind of buddy up to them here and cast back yonder. We'll make some casts doing that. I don't know that I want to. Oh, we got hung too. Oh, he's still on. I don't know what happened there. We had a malfunction of some kind, but we got a fish. Got any bigger kinfolk over there, bluegill? We make a cast over that tree and we get hung, we can kiss that jig goodbye. Be another nickel gone. I did find a penny in the parking lot this morning, so that helped give me like a partial refund on one of these jigs I lost. I always stop and I'll bend over. I won't bend over to cut my toenails anymore apparently, but I will bend over and pick up a penny in a parking lot if I see one. I'm telling you though, man, somebody is gonna watch my video and maybe you've been struggling to bend over. I can bend over and cut my toenails okay. But like my parents and stuff can't. But one of you's out there in my audience, it's maybe a little older, or you got an injury of some kind and you can't easily bend over and get your toenails anymore. You're gonna go try it out now that you know that I've went to one, and you're gonna thank me. It's gonna change your life. And I hope when you go, I hope you get one of the hot girls and not one of the old ones or one of the men. And listen, I ain't talking bad about the guy, because I mean, he did a fine job, I guess, cutting my toenail. He didn't cut them as short as what I would have liked to. If I'd done it my damn self, I'd have cut them a lot shorter. That way I didn't have to do it as often. But I think in that place like that, they're probably not cutting them super short because they want you coming back sooner. You know, if they cut them down real short, they're hurting themselves really over the course of time, you know. Leaving them a little longer might get you to come back in there once or twice extra throughout the year. Makes them more money that way. I'm gonna stand up here a second. Oh, let's just see. I was trying to look around here in the water, just see what it looks like, but I don't really see. This is just all wood right here where we're at. Yeah, I don't know that I want to try to cross this thing. I think we're going to turn here if we can. If we can. Well, we've rolled up on a log right here, y'all. Let's see if we can push ourselves off of this. Y'all have got me in a predicament here, ain't you? Fishing partners like you. Lord, now we got our pedal drive hung. We're in bad shape here, y'all. We've got ourselves all... Let's take our net and push off that way, maybe. I remember to bring that net. I've been leaving it in my car. That way, we go ultralight fishing, I'll have it. And I'll tell you what, when I hooked them big bass on the last ultralight trip, I was happy to have that net. Because I don't know that I would have landed them without it. Because that 2-pound line, you go to grab that line and you've got a 3-4 pound bass on there shaking its head, and you got a firm grip on that line, you're high risk of it breaking. But with that net, I was able to land both of them fish. Let's stay over here at this tree. If nothing else, at least the wind ain't blowing bad back in here. We're at least gonna be able to feel the bites that we get. That wind just kind of come out of nowhere out there and just started blowing. It's perfectly calm. We got on the water first thing. There's a woodpecker. Y'all, if y'all can hear that woodpecker. He's going to town, babe. There's a fish. There's a danged if you do, danged if you don't situation. Oh, this bluegill, so he's danged if you do and danged if you don't when he popped off that hook, didn't he? Let me get hold of you, fish. Get on out here. So I've been using this new microphone. And the good thing about it is that when the wind's blowing, y'all don't get a bunch of wind noise on the camera there. And when I'm readjusting the camera here on my chest, y'all aren't being subjected to all that noise there. I'm not just blowing up your eardrums with it. But the downside of using a fancy pants microphone is it does eliminate a lot of the external noise on the water. So like if an eagle flies over, I don't know that you're gonna hear it. Or this woodpecker going to town up in the trees behind us, I don't know if you're gonna hear that either. Not that you'd necessarily want to hear that woodpecker, but you know, it's just part of nature. I enjoy the birds. I actually like woodpeckers too. They're a cool bird. I don't like them though when they drill into my house. I mean, I feed them woodpeckers too. I got them, I never know how to say the word. Suet, it's S-U-E-T. They come in them blocks. It's like seed and nuts and some kind of stuff compressed together and The woodpeckers just love it, as I'm hung in another damn tree over here. Let's push this off this tree and see if we can go pop this one free. But the woodpeckers just love them things. But for some reason, they can't just be satisfied with them treats that I give them. No, they gotta get up there and just, it sounds like a dang jackhammer on my house, especially if they're near a gutter. I swear, y'all, if we snag another jig here to the point we got to break free, God almighty, boy, it's a day as far as losing gear, ain't it? Some days you go all day and you might lose one jig. Other days, like today, it's just one after another after another. Goodness gracious, y'all. I'm gonna tie on about one more jig, and we lose this and I may just go to the damn house. I get frustrated with it after a little while. I mean, it's just part of ultralight fishing. Like if you're gonna throw into brush and cover and stuff, like you're gonna get snagged. That's the way of life. But boy, when you breaking on, when you catching as many snags as what you catch fish, makes it hard to stay positive. Then here's another thing I find myself doing in this situation. When I break off too much on a trip, I start fishing too fast because I don't want to let it sink down into the cover, which is, oftentimes what you got to do to be able to get to the fish. You got to let it sink down. But I'll start fishing fast because I'm fearful. I'm like, well, if I let it sink down another second, I'm gonna lose it. Y'all heard me trying to spit that line out on the, I can't get it, there it is. Get that 2-pound line in your mouth, it feels like you got a hair in your mouth. Yeah, we've gone through some jig heads and some gulp today. Worth it for the better quality bluegill that we got, but we wasn't losing jigs then. We were catching fish when we were on the better quality ones. We did get that one that was good quality over when we first got back here. I need to cut that tag end down a little more, but we'll roll with it. I'll probably lose this jig in a minute anyway, so. Yeah, let's just make our way up through here and throw along and see what we get. That woodpecker, man, if there's any termites or whatever in that tree, they're going to get it. There's a fish. He didn't care about our tag end of the line being a little too long. Oh, bluegill, how are you today, sir? He won't even tell me. That fish is so mad at me, he won't even tell me how he's doing. I ain't keeping you, bluegill, I'm letting you go. I brought my bait bucket. I even remembered to fill it with water there before we left the launch, just in case we got on something that wasn't a bluegill, whether it be a yellow bass, a crappie, a drum, whatever. I was more than willing to take them with us for the next catfish trip, but thus far it's just been bluegill and a couple small bass. But it's made for a good time today, y'all. It's just, I like coming out, keeping things simple, catching a bunch of fish. It's just fun, man. What have I got? I had me another snag of some kind. I was pulling that one in toward me. It popped free. Even the snag will spit the hook on you. Let's check our hook, make sure we didn't bend it. Well, okay. Yeah, tomorrow I'm gonna have to go hide for some people and do some carp fishing, because it'll be as many boats as we've seen go by today. And granted, it ain't been a lot, but still, for a Friday morning, tomorrow morning being Saturday, you'll have all the people like we got today, plus all the bass tournaments going on. I just ain't gonna want to fool with it, man. I know myself. The older I get, the more easily irritated I get. And it's best just not put myself in situations where I'm going to get annoyed or irritated. I try to avoid it if I can. Just better for my own mental health, you know? That's why I was kind of annoyed with myself. I let our tournament director and Ryan talk me into going up there to the Owensboro, Kentucky tournament. I didn't want to go. I knew nobody was going to do any good up there. The lowest scores we've ever put up in a tournament. And I knew we wasn't going to have any fun, and I didn't want to go, but I let them talk me into it. And I spent the whole day being irritated. Didn't catch crap for fish. Thankfully, cashed and checked. It could have been a lot worse. I at least cashed in and got second place and covered my expenses plus a couple $100, so could have been worse. But I could have stayed home too and not spent all day being annoyed. But yeah, I'll get out tomorrow and I'll run way back up in a backwater creek, and there won't be anybody that can get anywhere near me in one of their boats. Like, I'll be so far up in a creek, they won't have a chance of getting to me unless they in a kayak. And I think I'll probably go back to the creek that I fished on the last carp trip. I filmed that trip, and it was amazing. I mean, it was one bite after another after another. I think I'll probably go back there because I know there's a bunch of fish in there, and I had a good time with that. And it's the other advantage to that creek is it's so far away from where I launch at to get to it. Like, boats aren't going to be able to get back up in there because you got to go through some really shallow areas to get back to where it kind of opens up and where I was getting them carp at. So you pretty much got to have a kayak to get back up in there. But it's so far away from the nearest launch, like the odds of somebody coming up in there, very slim. Now I think it was last year or the year before, I saw a couple guys in a kayak that had come up in there, but I think they lived around there. Like, they definitely hadn't traveled from where I put in at. Like, I think they were just living at a house somewhere there on the river. So that's always a possibility, but the likelihood of me seeing anybody tomorrow once I get in that creek, very slim. And so I think that's probably the best play for me tomorrow. Boy, we just ain't. Okay, I say that and I'm hooked up. It's like, boy, we just ain't getting many fish back here. And instantly I get a bite. Another bluegill. I tell you, a bluegill like this is probably what? He's in that 5-inch range, 6 inches, 5 to 6 inches range probably. I'm telling you folks, you get the right ultralight setup, fish like that, as common and prevalent as they are, they're fun. You can have fun with fish like that. And we got another one just like that. This one here is going to be a smidge bigger. I just enjoy the hell out of this, y'all. This truly makes me happy. Someday when my YouTube days are over and I'm just fishing out here by myself, I'm gonna be doing a whole lot more ultralight fishing. I mean, I can do it any day of the week I want to now, you know, obviously. I think that's 3 in a row off this tree right here. But there is a expectation of me doing YouTube and all, having hell, my damn channel name on here is Kayak Catfish, so there's an expectation of me to put out some catfish content pretty regularly. So there's a lot of times I wake up and I'm kind of, oh, it will thump me right there. There's a lot of times I wake up in the mood wanting to do some ultralight fishing, but I end up being like, well, I got a cooler full of bait. People are expecting a catfish video. Let me just go catfishing. And not that that's a bad thing. I mean, you don't have to really twist my arm to make me want to go catfishing, right? Like, I mean, I really enjoy catfishing also. But in the future, when my YouTube days come to an end at some point, I thought they would have already been over by now. I'm surprised anybody still watches me, but here we are, all these years later, and y'all still tuning in. So y'all keep watching, I keep doing it. That's how we roll with it. But at some point in the future, when my time is up on YouTube, and I'm truly just waking up and, oh, another one nailed me. I think this is 5 in a row now off this tree. When I'm truly just waking up and being like, what do I want to fish for today? I'll probably do a whole lot more ultralight fishing. Boy, look at this one's eyeball. Y'all, look, let me see if this is showing up on camera. Let me get him in the right light. Look at that one's eye, like he's got an infection or something. This eye here on this side's normal. Well, that one, you know, I should have kept that fish. As big an eye as he had. We've talked about this some, and I think I went over this on video. But when I'm catfishing, my head baits get eaten a lot. Like my best fish typically come on the head bait. And I've often wondered, is it because of the head bait, just the scent and the innards there that's coming out of it? Is it because of that? Or is it because of the eyes? Can they see the eyes on the head bait? And, you know, most of the time they eat a bait, they eat it head first. So they see the eyes and they attack. You get a fish like that with a bulging eye, it may make them attack right there. I guess we're gonna break our streak right here. Daggone. I think that was our longest streak of the day too. Yeah, we've wondered about that. You know, we always assume that you're fishing real deep and there's no light penetration down there, that the fish really can't see your bait. Like they're picking up on the scent and coming to it. But in the last couple years, one of the things that I've learned from using the flies on my suspend rigs is those fish can see better than what we think they can. Because I mean, I've caught fish on the flies down 100 feet deep, down there on Nickajack. I mean, literally 100 feet deep in those main channel holes down there. And I've pulled fish up on them flies. And so them flies, I mean, and they're catching them. And it's not like I'm just accidentally snagging them. You know, they're eating them flies, like I'm catching them in the mouth. And I know for a fact, there's no light penetration down there at 100 feet deep. Like, it's dark. But yet those fish know, they know their environment. They know them flies are there, and they've eaten them. And so, maybe, you know, I don't know. We'll never really know. I mean, they can do all the science they want to, studying these fish and other animals, and based on how many rods and cones the particular species has in their eyes, they can try to guess what colors they can see and how well they can see, yada, 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 yada. The fact is, none of us, and I'm hung again, the fact is none of us know what a fish or another animal can truly see, because we can't look through their eyes. So we really don't know at the end of the day. Like we don't know. We can make a best guess, but we don't know. And so these, oh good, we got our jig back. So we really, there's no way of knowing how well these fish truly see. But I do believe they can, I think they're more in touch with their environment than what we give them credit for. And when I'm catching them fish on flies 100 feet deep, which where it's got to be just pitch black down there. I mean, it's got to be just darkness down there. When they're eating them things in the mouth, like, they can see something. So maybe we should have kept that little bluegill with the bulging eye. That might have been the ticket. I've heard some bass fishermen too. I heard a snippet of a conversation the other day, and a guy was talking about how when he was using his bass lures, he would always try to get them with the big eye as possible. So I guess even somebody like him, bass fisherman, obviously fishing for a different species, just having he's obviously come to the same realization that the eyes on a bait have some role. They play some role. And my God almighty, I'm hung again, y'all. Whoosh. Boy, I've had it with these snags today. Some days you got it and some days you don't, folks. And boy, we snagged up today a lot. There it comes. Got lucky on that one. I want that thing to sink all the way down, because if we got some bluegill, if there's a bed there we don't see, and bluegill obviously going to be down there near bottom, I want to put it on bottom. But the further we let it go, the more wood we're sinking down into, and just begging for it, man. For some reason, the wind has changed directions for a second. I hope it gets back to blowing like it was, where we were kind of shielded. Right now, it's blowing right down up in here. I made a lousy cast. That was one of the worst casts I've made all day right there. Yeah, if it's wind, if it'll just blow like it was blowing, we'd be fine. I think what I'm gonna do, I brought these other skipjack rods with me. I ain't seen no skipjack anywhere. It really ain't time for them yet to be kind of in this area. But on my way back to the car, I am gonna troll them rods. I'll probably make a lap. When I go out of here, I'll probably just turn, work my way down this ledge the way we came, go down by the dam, and then come up to the boat ramp that way, and just see if I luck into something. I don't think I will, but it was worth it to bring them just in case. I didn't see any kind of activity out there this morning. And that don't always mean anything. Just because you ain't seeing activity don't mean they ain't there, but it really just ain't really time yet for them to be back down here. They're still been finishing up their spawning runs, so it's a lot of them going to be way upriver, and they'll make their way back down over the course of the summer. But you know what? I was coming out here, And I was like, it's better to have them and not need them than need them and not have them. And I'm going to be trolling my way or pedaling my way back to the car at some point here in the next hour or so anyway. So I'll just throw them behind me as I go along. And yeah, hell, anything I get's a bonus, man. I'm not going catfishing tomorrow regardless, because I ain't going out on no Saturday and trying to catfish. Unless it's a tournament, I ain't catfishing on a Saturday. I just ain't putting myself through it. I don't even want to put myself through it on Saturdays, to be honest with you. I'd rather just, I wish they'd have these dang tournaments on a Tuesday morning. That's what I wish. You know, I can't get a tournament director to do it. I've told him, I'm like, look, man, these people that are fishing these tournaments, they're taking time off work, you know, to come do it. Tell them to take off time on work on Tuesday. Most of these guys that come in and fish tournaments, if a tournament's on Saturday, they'll at least take Thursday and Friday off work, and then they'll leave out on like Wednesday, drive to wherever the tournament's at, and then pre-fish Thursday and Friday, and then fish tournament Saturday. So I'm like, why don't we just change it? Have a tournament on Tuesday or Monday. You know, hell, have it on a Monday. Let them come down. They can leave home on Friday after work. They're already going to be off on the weekend. Fish the weekend doing the pre-fishing, and then on Monday or Tuesday have the tournament. You still take the same amount of time off work, but when you get out there on tournament day, we'd have the water to ourselves instead of having to have bass fishermen going by every 10 seconds. I'll tell you folks, I'm full of good ideas, but nobody will listen to me. Nobody will give them the time of day. If I had a nickel for every good idea I had, I'd be at least a quarter richer. And I could take that quarter and replace about half the jigs that I've lost today. This wind is really being a nuisance right now, blowing down into this little pocket here. Almost feel like we should have went to the one across the channel there at this point right now, because it would be, if it's blowing in this way, we'd be protected from it over there, I think. But I really don't necessarily want to make that run. That wind though, man, you take your foot off the pedal, you blowing backwards. I was just gonna fish a few hours this morning anyhow. I wasn't gonna fish long today, but I'd hoped to at least fish in peace out here. But Mother Nature gonna do what she wants to do. She don't care about us fishing. Let's try this side of the channel over here a little bit. This side over here is in the shade. I don't know that it makes a difference one way or the other, but we really ain't getting, I kind of thought we might get on some more fish and some better quality fish in here. And that really hasn't materialized as of yet. The bar got set so high, we stumbled into them fish down there by the dam. And the bar in my mind got set so high that as we've made our way along and just getting that occasional bite, I just can't be satisfied with that. You know how I am, folks. Once the bar's been set, you know, we gotta exceed it. It wouldn't nip me right then. Fortunate so far, nobody's come down in here. This little pocket, normally, if I fish out here and I'm just going by this area, there's almost always somebody bass fishing down in here. So we've been kind of fortunate They got them dang signs up all the way. There's one right over there in the woods right there. There's another one up there, man. They've put these signs like every few feet telling people stay off that government property. I remember there was a story, and this has been several years ago now. I'm pretty sure, if memory serves me, it was a nun, like a Catholic nun, and a couple other people. And they had went somewhere over in Oak Ridge and got all the way to one of them nuclear areas and chained themselves to it. Like they had gotten through not only the government property, but like gotten through security and all that, and gotten somewhere they wasn't supposed to be and chained them damn selves to it. I'm pretty sure they all got arrested and thrown in the pokey. So I don't know what they was trying to accomplish with it, but some kind of protest. You know how these people are today. They're going to protest everything. I'm surprised we ain't got people out here laying across the boat ramp trying to protest me going fishing. But yeah, I remember the news story from. I don't know whatever happened to them. If I think about it later, I'm going to look that up. I probably won't remember it 2 seconds from now, but if I think about it, I'm going to research that, see whatever happened to them. I don't even know what the penalty would be. I'm sure the trespassing penalty is probably worse being government property and all, especially with the National Lab or whatever owning this property. But right up the river from here, you take your kayak up there, and somebody had told me about it years ago. I didn't find it on my own. I better not even say, allegedly, I'll say allegedly, I don't want to incriminate myself on video and admit to trespassing, but somebody had told me about it years ago. And if I was the type who was going to go exploring on government property, I would have found that old homestead up there. And it was, pretty cool to you get out there and kayak and take your girl up there and go explore around and stuff. It's pretty neat. But they apparently had too many people doing that, and they don't want people going up there anymore. And I bet you, oh, I had another fish on 10. I'd about be willing to bet you that they've had problems with hunters as well. Because you get that much woods, and I see deer all the time. Every time I fish over here, I ain't seen none today, but I ain't really been looking either. But I've seen a ton of deer and turkeys and, a bunch of wildlife. And I'd about be willing to bet they've had people hunting on government land up there. I'd about be willing to make a wager with you. But it's one of them things like everything else in life. You can put up these signs, but who you going to deter? You know what I mean? Like, the only people you're deterring are honest people. People like me who, if I went up there to explore that old home site, I would have just walked around, wouldn't have damaged anything, would have just took a look around and left it be. They would only be deterring me from going up there. The people who are going to be trespassing to hunt or poach or whatever, you're not going to deter them, because who's going to enforce it? You can put up signs, just like they put up speed limit signs out on the highway, but guess what? Ain't nobody following them. If you got a straight open highway, 4 lanes, I probably ain't going to be doing 55 down it unless I know there's cops set up there. You know what I mean? Like, I'm probably going to be doing 65, 70 along with everybody else, because nobody gives a damn about the law unless there's somebody to enforce it. Same thing with all these bait dealers around here. You know what I mean? Like, we got a limit on skipjack, 100 per person per day. They put that rule into place years ago because we had all these out-of-staters coming in and just taking them by the hundreds. And they put them rules in place, and, well, guess what happens now? The out-of-staters and bait dealers still come in here and take the skipjack out by the hundreds. You know why? Because ain't nobody to enforce the rules. It's like, you know, you can, again, the only people that's going to obey the rules is, well, somebody like me who wasn't going to break them to begin with. The people who are looking to do something sketchy like that, they're going to do it regardless if there's nobody to enforce it. So that's my spiel on that. So basically, what I'm getting at, I guess, when you get right down to it, is somebody from the government, somebody sitting wearing a suit in an office somewhere, their big contribution to get their raise this coming year was to send out a memo that somebody needs to put up some signs along the riverbank about every 20 feet saying no trespassing. And now they're going to pat themselves on the back like they've done something to justify their position there at that corporate office. But in reality, it ain't done a damn thing to deter nobody. I guarantee you. You get out here this summer, I'll see people from the campground paddling over to go up there and look around at that old home site. Guarantee it. I guess to really deter something like that, you'd have to just over punish the crime. Like this snag right here that's snagged my lure. Like if we had a rule in place that for every dead tree down here in the water that snagged my lure, I was going to cut down 3 of its live kinfolk trees, they might not snag as much stuff from me. You know, it would be a crime way worse than the punishment would be way worse than the crime, but it might deter them snags from grabbing hold of my jigs. So if you had one of these signs up and just one time you set out there and you actually caught somebody trespassing and you throw them in the pokey for about 5 years, and you made big headline news of it, you know, so-and-so stepped foot on government property and lost their freedom for 5 years, that might deter people from ever doing that again, you know what I mean? But I don't even know what the punishment would be. You'd probably get a ticket or something. You know, and you get some of these rich people that have come down here in Tennessee, because we got all these people coming from all over, man. Money has flooded in to Tennessee. New York, Michigan, California, like everybody's coming to Tennessee. Ever since COVID, the real estate market here in Tennessee, man, if something hits the market around here, it's sold in a few days, and it's sold for way more than what it was worth just a few years ago. I mean, it's ridiculous. But all this money's flooded in, and you know, so you get some rich California person, and maybe let's say there's like a $50 trespassing fine, a $100 fine. Hell, they ain't going to give a crap about that. They'll pay $50 for an appetizer up at Ruth Chris Steakhouse or something. You know, that ain't nothing to them. So you ain't really going to deter them unless you got a significant punishment. And nowadays, we don't punish any criminals. They don't give a crap. Like, man, people will walk in these stores, Home Depot, Walmart, and whatnot, and they'll walk in, grab stuff, and walk out. just nonchalantly don't give a crap because they know the employees can't put their hands on them. And if they call the cops probably ain't even gonna come. And even if they do get arrested, whoop-de-doo, nobody cares. They ain't got room for them in the jails and prisons and stuff, so people get let out early before their time. So you can't punish nothing. There's no punishments anymore in society. People just do whatever the hell they want. I don't know how we get that part back on track. You know, the genie's out the bottle. I don't know how you fix that again. You know, I guess it's got to be a situation where you're going to have to do some stuff like, you know, I mean, you go to other countries, the punishments can be severe for stuff like that. I remember seeing a report. Oh, I finally got another fish, y'all. Oh, what's this? What is this right here? I think that's some kind of sunfish of some kind. They're all bluegill to me, but this one here has got some, I forget, there's some kind of, like a red-breasted sunfish or something like that. See how he's got the different colors on him, lighter blue and the speckles and stuff. A little orange there on the tail. Beautiful fish. Beautiful. He bit the tail of my gulp off. But I remember seeing some kind of story years ago, like somebody, I think it was Singapore, and like if you spit your gum out on the sidewalk there, if you littered, they'd take a cane pole or cane switch and beat you with it. And I think the news story, if I remember it correctly, was talking about how like Singapore had some of the cleanest streets and all that because, you know, nobody was going to dare litter out there because of the punishment. And, you know, you think about it, the human rights activists, of course, would be all over something like that. Some American over there getting a cane switch taken to them because they spit their chewing gum out on the sidewalk. But at the same time, too, one, you know, and again, I'm going to get lit up for this. One, if you're going to go to another country, you best know their damn laws. You know what I mean? Like, you ain't in America no more. You better learn what's up real fast. It's like me. You know, I use here in Tennessee, I can fish with whatever bait I want. Because sport fish, legal to use here as long as they're minimum size requirements, right? But I can't just go to any state and do that. If I go fishing in a different state, I gotta research their laws and figure out what can I use for bait? What can I not use? How can I catch that bait? Like you gotta know these things. And if I don't do that and I go into a state that won't allow me to use crappie or bass or whatever, and I get caught using it, well, guess what? They're going to throw the book at me, and I would expect nothing less because it was my stupidity for not researching the laws ahead of time. So I don't have a lot of sympathy when I hear about these Americans going to these foreign countries and breaking the law, even if the laws may seem extreme or ridiculous to us. If they break that law, then, you know what I mean? Like, it's just, they screwed up. And so, you know, I know, again, from a human rights standpoint, you can make the argument all day long that maybe some of the punishments are a little too severe. But in that report, old Singapore, man, they didn't have dirty streets. And you walk in, you go to any town in America, I don't care if it's a small community, definitely gonna see it in a big city, but even if it's just a small town, a small rural community, you look on the streets, trash everywhere, garbage everywhere. You know, that's just, I mean, oh, one hit me right then. Americans we trash everything. You get out here on the water, there's trash all over, you know. What is this? Is this a bluegill or is this a bass? It's a better fish, whatever it is. That's a bluegill. He's just a big one. Okay. Yeah, we got that little sunfish over there, and now we've got one of these bluegill here. Look at his ear flaps on there. Got them long ear flaps. Nice. He's a good fight. We finally got on some more fish right here. Took us a little while to get back on some, ain't it? Which way is this? Got my jig wrapped around my line there. I don't see, can't see which way it's going. But I guess what I'm getting at is you've got one, there's got to be a balance somewhere in there, folks. Some of these countries, you know, spitting your gum out on the sidewalk and getting 20 licks with a cane switch may be extreme, right? That's maybe a little much. But, you know, here in America, being able to walk into Home Depot and take an entire shopping cart full of stolen merchandise out and not even getting the cops called on you because nothing can be done about it, that's a little extreme on the other end of the spectrum. So there's got to be a balance there somewhere. You got to have at least enough punishment to the crime to deter the crime. And we've got to a point in society now where these crimes are just going unpunished and we keep deteriorating as society. And eventually what's going to happen is you're going to have private citizens that just get sick of putting up with the BS, and they're going to take matters into their own hands. When you get these riots going on over here and people start wanting to burn down the towns, which I've never understood this. These protesters, it makes no damn sense. They're only hurting themselves when they light these buildings on fire. They're only hurting themselves. They're burning down their own community. It doesn't make any damn sense what they're doing. But there's going to come a time when these business owners, you know, the Walmarts, the Targets, these big corporations that's got minimum wage employees working for them, you know, the minimum wage employees, they're not going to risk their life to keep from getting Target or Home Depot vandalized. But when you get some small business, some mom and pop, like they've invested all their life savings, they've invested their entire lives into growing that business. When you get that kind of passion and commitment, and somebody's trying to just vandalize your property or whatever because they're upset because something happened to somebody they don't even know on TV and they're going to show their ass and act out because of it, there's going to come a time when those mom and pop businesses are going to defend themselves and their property. And you know what I mean? And like there's going to be a revolt. The people, the good, honest, hardworking people of this world, and I believe that's most people. You know, you only see the bad people on the TV and the news, but I think most people are good. At least good-natured anyway. Those people are going to eventually get sick of the BS and take a stand. And that day's coming. So I don't know what's going to happen in this world, y'all. It's a strange time we live in. Strange time. Nowadays, we got all these kids at the colleges now protesting. I guess it's a war in Israel or something. Hell, I don't know. I don't keep up with it. I got my own problems right here in America to deal with. I ain't worrying about everybody else's. But I guess these college kids, they ain't getting assigned enough homework or something. They're out there protesting, and it's both sides too. It ain't like it's one or the other. It's like both sides protesting each other out there. And I'm like, man, don't people go to college to like learn a skill so they can get a job and be a productive citizen? You know, when I was in college, I didn't have time for that crap, man. I was trying to get through school as quick as I could. You know, and then I'd have to get out of class and go to work because I had to, you know, I didn't have some trust fund. I didn't have you know, scholarships and all that. I wasn't getting government money to go to school. Like, I had to pay my own way. So I had to go to class and then I had to go to work afterwards. I wasn't going to be on no damn protest. Especially for crap on the other side of the world, you know what I mean? Like, we got our own battles to fight right here at home, and I ain't trying to be insensitive to what's going on in other places. Like, you know, I ain't trying to be insensitive to it. I'm just speaking facts. You can give a shit about anything, but we've only got so many shits we can give, people. Like, you can only care about so much, and you can only fix so many things. And barricading yourself in front of a college admissions office or something like that, you ain't accomplishing nothing. You know, you're not doing one damn thing other than getting yourself in a newspaper or something. Like that's all you're doing. And the damn news stories, they oughtn't to be, the fact that they're even covering that crap, it shouldn't be a news story at all. So, again, folks, you can only give a shit about so many things. Be careful what you choose to give your shits about. And somebody will give an SHIT about me saying SHIT, and they will let me know about it in the comment box, I'm sure. Thankfully, this is happening toward the tail end of the video when I'm on this subject. Most people have done tuned it off by now. They ain't watching at this point. I would undoubtedly be hearing about it. We're about to cut this crap off in a minute anyway. This wind's just kind of, it seems to be, I was hoping it was going to just blow there for a little bit, and it seemed to have gotten worse. And here's one though, here's one. Okay, it's a little better one. Yeah, it's kind of blowing down in this little pocket here now and being a nuisance. And boy, look at this though. We got us another slab. We got us another slab right here though, man. Come up in here, bluegill. Boy, I want you to look at this one, folks. This here is another badonkadonk right here. He wasn't coming free for nothing. We had him up behind that lip, right there in the nose. I still can't get that hook out. There we go. Let's put you on the board here, fish. You ever protested anything before, fish? He says he's protesting getting measured right now. Another one right there, about just shy of 8 1/4, man. But I mean, he's another thick one, buddy. I mean, he's got some meat on him right there. We ain't got as many fish as what I'd hoped to today. But boy, some of the bluegill we have gotten have been excellent quality. Excellent. Here comes the wind again. Yeah, I ain't gonna fish out here too much longer, y'all. I ain't gonna fight this wind. We'll live to fight another day. Probably go home and eat me some lunch and work on my tomato cage project. I underestimated 2 things about them tomato cages that I was building. One, I underestimated how much wood I was gonna need. I had to make a return trip to the store to get more wood. The other thing I underestimated was how much time it was gonna take. Because I'm not a very crafty person anyway. Like, I don't have a lot of mechanical skills, building stuff. Like, we all got our skills we're good at in life. I'm good at getting snagged, for instance. I mean, I may be the best person of all time to get snagged. Like, if we have a contest of who can catch more snags, by gosh, I'm gonna be near the top of the leaderboard every single event. But when it comes to building stuff, I ain't very good. Like, you don't want me building, you don't want me building a porch on your house. You don't want me fixing your car. Like, I'm not good with tools. So it's taken me, when I'm doing a project that requires me to put something together, I always have to allow myself a little bit more time. Like, if I think it's gonna be a 10-minute project, it's probably gonna take closer to 30. inevitably. That's how it works out. So I underestimated how long it was going to take me to do these tomato cages, but I need to make me 2 more. I think that's probably going to be this afternoon's project. I need to do that. I need to, if it dries out a little bit this afternoon, I might hop on the mower and get my yard mowed. We're at that point in time now. It's been warm and wet, so the yard's growing fast. So I need to do that. I've been needing to do this for a while, and I ain't got around to it, but I need to list some stuff for sale. I got a bunch of old camera gear and stuff I need to sell. I need to make an ad on Marketplace or something for that stuff. I put it off and put it off because I know it's going to require me to answer questions and interact with people and, you know, all that. And I try to avoid human interaction as much as possible. Well, there ain't hardly nobody over there at the campground. I'd have thought this time of year it'd be, I guess, and especially today. I mean, hell, day's Friday. I thought there'd be a bunch of people over there. I guess camping went out of style now that COVID's over. During COVID, everybody was buying outdoor camping stuff and fishing stuff and any outdoor activity, people was snatching it up. But now that we've gotten back to normal routines again, a few years later, I guess all that stuff's sitting in people's garages. The wind definitely shifted directions. We were sitting pretty when we first got back in this pocket. Now it's kind of coming down this way a little bit. And when it hits us just right. Either way, I've had a good morning out here. We got several big bluegill. Well, we get three species. We got bluegill. We got that tiny largemouth and that tiny smallmouth. I guess technically we had that sunfish too, but they're all bluegill to me. I count them all the same. Oh, there's one. Yeah, I've had a good time out here today. I enjoy the hell out of this. I encourage you all to give it a shot at some point because I think you'll enjoy the hell out of it too. And that's what we need to be doing in life, folks. If you find something that you like and you enjoy and brings you happiness, you need to spend as much time as you can doing it because the day's going to come when we can't do this anymore, whether it's just us getting older and physically, health-wise, just can't do it, or something goes terribly wrong in society and now we can't do it anymore. Either way, the day is coming sooner than we would like where we're not going to be able to necessarily do what we want when we want. So you find something you enjoy, I'm telling you folks, get out there and do it as much as you can. And this right here brings me a lot of happiness. I go on my rants and stuff when things pop into my mind that annoy me, but it don't take away from the fact that I'm having a good time doing what I'm doing while I'm doing this out here. I can be ranting about one thing that irritates me while still be having fun doing what I'm doing. I can multitask like that. But I do enjoy this. This time of year where you can get out in the morning hours and not freeze to death, I love it. Get out about sunrise, catch some fish, go home, eat some lunch, get the video YouTube crap done, and then have the rest of the afternoon to work on other projects and everything while the bulk of the people are out on the water. Because, I mean, yeah, we've seen some people out here this morning, but we really ain't been pestered much. That one guy kind of sitting up there first thing's really the only obstacle we had to work around. Otherwise, we've had this place pretty much to ourselves where we wanted to fish. You know, and come out here, get my fishing done, and then this afternoon, undoubtedly, you get a Friday afternoon, man. All the pleasure boaters and all that will be out in full force by 3, 4 o'clock this afternoon, but they can have it at that point. You know, I done caught my fish for the day. I'm gonna make about 3 more casts, and then I'm gonna let these fish have it, buddy. Fish can have it, and the pleasure boaters can. I gotta go down here. I'm gonna troll my. I'll tell you what I'm gonna do. I'll make 2 more casts after this. I'm gonna troll my way down to the dam. I gotta get me a thumbnail for this video. I'm glad I remembered that. Gotta get me a thumbnail, and then I'm gonna troll my way to the car. I'm gonna go down there to the dam and kind of just go along the edge of the dam and then back up toward the car. And I'm gonna call it a day. I'm glad y'all reminded me to get my thumbnail. I reeled all the way up to the rod tip on that. Let's make just 1 more cast. Just for duties and giggles over here. Sometimes I get home and it dawns on me I didn't get a thumbnail. And boy, that's always frustrating when that happens. I'm like, how is it I've been doing this YouTube crap this long and I can't remember to get a picture for the thumbnail? Because that's kind of a big deal. You know what I mean? Like, you know, you need a reason for people to click on the video. It's pretty important. And for some reason, after all this time, I still can't ever remember to do it. I'm gonna make just 1 or 2 more casts here, folks. I wanna just fish right here to this tree. We may not be able to feel a bite if the wind blows again, but we'll at least throw right there around it. Yeah, it don't take a lot of wind when you're throwing this light line and light jigs. It don't take a lot to really interfere with what you're doing, but when you get those, especially, you know, first thing in the morning usually, even if it's going to be a windy day, it seems like first thing in the morning things are usually most days pretty calm. And so if you get out on the water at sunrise, you can usually get you in a couple, 3 hours of fishing. And you know, you doing this ultralight fishing, man, you got 3 hours, you got enough time to look right here. Boy, God, it's another one of them tiny smallmouth bass. This fish, you might not be very big, but we'll make his dreams come true. We'll make this the last fish of the video. I'm gonna get my thumb in your mouth though, fish. Can I lip you? What a tiny fish. Look at our bait compared to this fish, man. Our bait's 1 inch. That's about a 3-inch fish right there, maybe 4 inches. That's the way to go out, folks. That's the way right there to end the video, by gosh. But yeah, hey, y'all, it's been fun today. Appreciate y'all coming fishing with me. We'll probably do a carp, I'll do a carp video tomorrow. Whether or not y'all want to come fishing with me on a carp trip, I'll let y'all decide that. Some people like the carp and some don't. Personally, I do. I like them. They're fun. And I like being able to catch them with grocery store type baits. I got some blueberries in my fridge. They're a little beyond, you know, they're at that point. I need to be throwing them out. I'm not going to eat them, but I've saved them for the next carp trip. So I think if I can remember to take them with me tomorrow, I'm going to take those. We're going to see if we can't catch some carp on some blueberries. I think that'll be interesting. Because I've caught them on other stuff before, like lima beans and cherry tomatoes and stuff. And so we're gonna try some blueberries tomorrow if I can keep them on a hook. So I think that'll be interesting. But carp trip tomorrow, probably try to get some bait on Sunday and then go after the catfish again on Monday there somewhere. If they're still running a bunch of water, I'll probably make the trip down to Chickamauga and try to fish that old dam and just see if there's some fish there kind of hanging out there on that current break, which Hopefully there would be. I mean, 'cause I've been catching a lot of fish down there in that area, so I think they probably will congregate up there to that current break if they're still moving a ton of water at that point in time. But anyway, I'm rambling on, y'all. I'm gonna troll my way down here to the dam, get me a thumbnail, hopefully maybe pick off a skipjack or white bass on the way. I doubt it's gonna happen. That's why I'm gonna go ahead and we'll wrap up the video now. I'm not gonna subject you to me trolling along down through here because I just don't think we'll get, if I thought there was a reasonable chance of me catching something, I'd leave the camera going until I got back to the car there just so you can, you know, see any fish that we catch. But I really don't think we're going to get anything today. So, but you know, you never know. You know, we could stumble across something. It could be a drum or a bass or something. I mean, you always got a chance. You got a line in the water. But all right, y'all. I think that's a wrap. Thanks again for coming with me, and hopefully see you on the next video, which should be a carp trip if things go well tomorrow. I'll see you then.